gift of Troy is a fabulous fabric from the land of the five rivers. Great Pharaoh, the gift of Troy is a fabulous fabric from the land of the five rivers.
Beatsmith music.
Welcome, man, to this tomb that we call the Pharaoh NFL channel. Man, I am excited to be going live tonight, man. We got lots to talk about. This is a special edition. Of course, my co-host will be joining us. He's backstage. But before I get into before I bring him into the live, let me say my respects to the Tomb Raiders, the chat. Let me get to it real quick. GA Patriot, what's good, nation? I appreciate you pulling up, brother. Always showing support, man. Richard Lyon, man, in the building, counting down until we enter the Pharaoh's tomb. He already know. He already know. He's in the building. He over here saying 5 minutes away. He's counting down. Okay. Van City's in the building, always showing love, man. Yo. Everyone's favorite Canadian is in the house. Oh, okay. Tell him. All right. Let's see who's in the building. Oh, you know what? I actually got to make some mods here. Okay, Daniel Kim. Appreciate you pulling up, man. You are one of the mods. Let's see, man. I appreciate everybody. Sean Johnson's in the building, man. What's good, man? Appreciate you coming through. All right, man. Let me just. I'm not gonna make y'all wait, man. I'm just gonna introduce my co-host, man. The guy, he knows football. You already know, man. RealRaiderRay, what's good, man? How you doing, brother?
Hey, what's good, bro?
Hey, I'm cool, man. I'm juiced, man. I got a Tim Brown signed football, you know what I mean? I didn't get to meet him, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But that being said, he was in the building. I was able to get a signed football by Tim Brown, a receiver I grew up. And I think I hit you up about it, and you kind of basically took the words out of my mouth. You said one of the first receivers that you admire growing up watching football, especially because you're a Raider fan. Obviously, Tim. If you don't know who Tim Brown is, come on, bro. Come on, y'all, man.
Bro, he was iconic. I remember the game. What was it? Was it either 10,000 yards or a certain amount of receptions, and they stopped the game and they gave him the ball mid-game? Yeah. And it was a whole scene. They were doing interviews, and man, Tim Brown is just one of those early memory Raiders for me. Like, I just loved watching him play. Him, Jerry Rice, Rich Gannon. I mean, that was the last time where I felt like the Raiders were like in their glory years for us in our lifetime. So, no, man, Facts. Tim Brown always has a special place in my heart.
Hey, and one of the good things when I went to go get that football signed by Tim Brown was actually meeting Raider Nation, man. They was out there. We was out here in Oakland. If y'all don't know, Tim Brown was able to come to Oakland and actually have a little meet and greet. So I posted everything on my social media and stuff like that. And man, I was hyped, man. I wanted to meet him so I could get him on the show, but you
dropped the ball, bro.
Man, I tried, but they made us choose. They made us choose either a signed football or a picture. And I wanted to meet him, but then people in the line was like, bro, don't do it. Don't do the picture. They kind of talked me out of it. They were like, hey, yo, you got to get that football signed. You'll get a picture some other time, because he does this all the time. So I'm like, all right, cool. All right. So
hey, we'll get him. We'll get him.
Next time, I'll definitely put the word out. And once we do, man, y'all better tune in for sure. But what's up, man? This is a special edition. This is not a preview show. We had our preview show earlier in the week, but this is kind of a show that we're kind of you know what? Let's talk football. Let's actually get into football and freestyle pretty much, man. I mean, there's a lot going on with Raider Nation. We're talking the latest and greatest of Raiders, just like the title says. The injuries to rumors. It's been some crazy rumors lately. I don't know if y'all been paying attention. There's some crazy rumors. I don't know if you want to go ahead and talk about some of the rumors that you've been hearing.
Yeah, I mean, let's just get him out of the way. Nelson Aguilar from the New England Patriots, potentially in a trade deal with the Raiders. In my opinion, I don't have anything against it. Now, I know everybody in Raider Nation, they're going to be like, "Hey, wide receiver is not the biggest need," and me and you both agree.
Yeah,
The Raiders' biggest need is not wide receiver by any means.
right.
But if you're going to go out here and make a move and double down, you alluded to it before the show. Like, if you're going to go out there and make this offense the focal point, which obviously with everything that transpired in the offseason, Devontae Adams, you go down the line. Obviously, offensive side of the football was an emphasis. And you go out and get a guy who knows the terminology, knows the scheme, knows the route concepts, can come in right away, has chemistry with the quarterback. So Nelson Aguilar, of any wide receiver in the entire National Football League, could come in right immediately, plug and play, and really start going from day one. So if that is a rumor situation that the Raiders are actually looking forward to doing, I don't have anything against it. Now, what would you give up? That'd be the biggest question. I think you could get it done for a 5th round pick, just because of the contract remaining and the amount of salary that's due. I think a 5th round would get it done, or maybe you send over Cleveland Farrell in a trade if they really are trying to move on from him.
No, facts 100%. I'm on with you. Like I'm not saying that the Raiders should go after a wide receiver. Obviously,
Mhm.
that's like a position of strength. But if Raider Ray, you want to I don't know if you toot your own horn or not, but like you were talking about this earlier in the offseason or at some point in the offseason where, Nelson Aguilar could be a real option. And I was kind of like alluding to that myself. So great minds think alike, where, Nelson Aguilar can fill that deep threat move. Now, is it a position of need? Not really. But if you guys have noticed, the Raiders have kind of like attacked the offseason by kind of doubling down on the offense. You know what I mean? They haven't really invested too much in the defense. They've invested mostly all the resources to the offense because they feel like they're closer on offense than they are defense, and they're trying to win. Mark Davis brought in Josh McDaniels and all these coaches, everybody in the front office, the coaching staff. He got everybody signed up on board, signed on the dotted line because to win now. So they figured obviously actions speak louder than words, right? They figured that okay, at the end of the day, they offense is closer than the defense. Why don't we just become one of the best offense? Technically, on paper, they are, you know what I mean, one of the best offenses in football, but it's not good enough. You know what I mean? And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I just feel like, is it a move that they should make? I mean, if there's other moves to be made, like linebacker, D tackle, cornerback, we should definitely make that. But it's just, but I'm not mad at it because they're definitely not comfortable with Tyron Johnson.
Hmm.
And I think they recently released him, right? They released Tyron
Yep.
Johnson and the recently signed Albert Wilson. They
Yep.
signed him. So if you want to go ahead and talk about that, I mean, you kind of brought that to my attention.
Yeah, so today they waived Albert Wilson and they released also Tyron Johnson. So they also promoted DJ Turner from the practice squad. That's something that I really wanted to see. You got to see what you got in DJ Turner before you actually go out there and make a move. So I do fully expect to see DJ Turner involved in this game. And I think you're going to get a small preview of what he could bring to the offense, specifically for me, punt return, get him out there in special teams, get Keelan Cole off the field. And if the Nelson Aguilar thing is a situation, you got to look. They released Albert Wilson and fully intend to bring him back to the practice squad, but they outright released Tyron Johnson, and now this is the second time they've done so. That tells me there's a move to be made here soon. So I would just keep an eye on that. As far as talking about the needs, whether it be offensive or defensive, we just addressed that. Obviously, they put an emphasis on the offensive side of the football, but I can kind of see the vision here, right, Pharaoh? Like, they invested a ton of money, got this offense squared away to be among the elite, right, on paper. Once this thing clicks, it's really going to click. Defensively, in 2023, if you all caught the interview with Dave Ziegler, he's put an emphasis on 2023. I could really see them go defense heavy in this next upcoming draft and really create a young up and coming defense that fits the scheme of Patrick Graham. And you have an established veteran offense that can kind of go in there and get the job done and have a natural chemistry of working together for a year. So I know right now in 2022, our vision is set on this season, but Dave Ziegler, Champ Kelly, Josh McDaniels, they do have a big picture here. And as we get progressively going throughout the course of the season, I can kind of see what they're trying to do here, right? I do believe the next draft is going to be an emphasis on getting a young, fast, up-and-coming defense.
They have to.
They do. Yeah.
That's the only option. They can't build through free agency because they've invested so much money on the offensive side of the ball where now they kind of left them in kind of in a situation where they have to build through the draft. And which is not a bad thing. That's how like teams win at the end of the day. If you look at all the best teams in the league, at some point they've built through the draft, and then when they're really close, they make the big trades. Look at San Francisco. A lot of people are getting on them with that CMC trade, which I understand completely. Like it's a high risk, high reward move with getting McCaffrey on board, but they have a Super Bowl caliber defense, and they have some pieces on offense which they felt like combined with CMC will make them a Super Bowl caliber team. And they're already kind of like in the playoffs fight. You know what I mean? They're still one of the best teams in the league. So I say that to say is that the Raiders, they're on a trajectory, and I think they're on a trajectory to go up if they make the right moves. And like you said, if they're smart, they're going to build through the draft, obviously. But hey man, like I'm taking it. I'm taking it as like, look, at the end of the day, like we got to figure out if they can win on Sundays.
No, I don't think they're even that
You know
far
what I mean?
away.
Yeah, they're not that far away. They're not that far away.
I really don't. I mean, you got bookend ends. I know everybody can say what they want about Chandler Jones. Really, though, you have bookend ends. Chandler's been really good at stopping the run this season, and has honestly, I mean, it would almost be foolish to say that he hasn't opened things up for Max Crosby. When you break down the film, there is a lot of attention going over to Chandler Jones. The National Football League, these other teams that we're going against, they do respect Chandler Jones, and they're doing everything in their power as well to take him out of the game, which has opened things up for Max Crosby. But when you look at it, if they can get a big, if they can make a move for an interior defensive tackle, specifically either at the trade deadline or if we're taking our eyes and putting them on 2023, if they could get a guy on the interior of this defense and then maybe get another sideline to sideline linebacker, you're really not that far away, right? You're only a few pieces on the defensive side of the football from really kind of turning the ship around. So I honestly, everything is on the up and up for the Raiders, in my opinion. It's just right now where we're sitting at 1-4, it doesn't necessarily seem that way.
Yeah, obviously when we're not winning and we talk like this, like people are gonna be like, oh, okay, right. Wasn't McDaniel supposed to do this? Wasn't Derek Carr supposed to do this? But at the end of the day, like we're watching the games and we can tell you that like every game there's been an improvement. Every game. And I don't want to forget about the chat, man. I'm gonna get back to y'all in a second, man. I know I'm over here. We're just talking, but like every game there's been improvement, man. We just played one of the best teams in the Kansas City Chiefs, and we stand toe to toe. The coaching staff showed up well. The players showed up well. They played hard. They had a chance to win at the end. They didn't finish it. Obviously, now they have a winnable game against the Texans tomorrow. But that being said, you know what I mean? Even though there's, it's a winnable game, nothing comes easy in the National Football League. And the Raiders have dug themselves a hole where they don't have any room for error. So that's what makes tomorrow's game even tougher, and the next game, because they can't lose. They can't afford to lose against the Texans, the Jaguars, and all, and so on and so forth. You know what I mean?
Hey, be real though. If we lose to the Texans, how are we going to come on here and talk to these people?
Oh man, we're going to be talking about like who's going to get fired.
Bro, tomorrow, my vibes. I'm trying to be like Patrick Mahomes when he was on the sidelines and he was like, "I'm here." That's gonna be my vibes tomorrow, going against the Texans, man. I want to look over to that Texans sidelines and just be like, "Hey, we're here."
For real, man. If y'all don't know, man, I posted a short with Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes looked like he was talking a lot of smack to, I think, Max Crosby. It looked like Max Crosby and him were going at it, and it was funny because he has a funny sounding voice. It sounds like Hermit the Frog.
Horrible voice. It ain't even funny. It's horrible.
Facts, 100%, man. But Van City says Ray and Farrell have very quick one about fair. Hey, man, I appreciate you. Hey, Van City, man, I appreciate that. That means a lot, man. We're trying our best, man. We're trying our best. Every time we come, we want to make sure that we improve, and we improve little by little. And I think we have, like, as you can see, I got a new chair. You know what I mean? Raider Ray's making upgrades. You know what I mean? Like, he's gotten to 1K. I'm trying to get to 1K. I'm growing every day. So I really appreciate everybody's support. And then we got, let's see. You know what? I got to get to the mods real quick. Hold on 1 second. I got to make sure everybody's
shout out to Damian Bond for pulling up, bro. I appreciate you for pulling up and showing some love last week. sharing the channel out to your Instagram, man. And we appreciate it. Keep doing your thing, man, when it comes to creating music. We need these more creative minds, and Raider Nation is all about love, man. So we're out here supporting other creative Raider people in the nation. So shout out to you, Damien, for pulling up and showing some support. Egalitarian, D Menace, what's going on, you guys?
Facts, man. I know you say you late, man. Nah, you're never too late, man. I'm gonna add you as a moderator right now.
Yep.
So D Menace, you are a mod. Daniel Kim, I gotta make you a mod as well. And yeah, salute to Damian Bonds, man. The dude got a fire Raider anthem. Y'all should check it out. Raider baby. That is dope, man. It's really dope, man. Hold on one second. Let me so GA Patriot says, here's a thought: trade all our QBs and wide receivers to old linemen, then just man, the way Josh Jacobs is playing right now, it seems like he can't be stopped right now. So hold up, I found Daniel Kim. So what do you think of GA Patriot's comment right here, man?
Trade all of our QBs and wide receivers for O linemen? Nah. I love you, GA, but nah, I'm not for it.
Yeah,
hey man, we're really not that far away. I always encourage you guys, because the more the nation gets involved with watching film, the more we can really start to analyze this team properly. And I would encourage you guys that we're really not that far away. I mean, we kind of alluded to it on the preview show. A lot of this is going to come down to execution, executing what Josh McDaniels is calling. And when the Raiders have been executing those plays, they've been a really good offense. I mean, we're in the top 6, I believe, in scoring, and we're actually number 1 in the National Football League when it comes to percentages of putting points up. So there is sign of life there, even though it kind of feels like we're limping in this offense. Now, when the offense starts to jog, and then that jog turns into a sprint, you're going to look at a really, really good offense. So I would say to stay patient. And the Raiders really aren't that far. I think over the course of the next few weeks, this is the most prepared we should have actually see the Raiders. They have an extra week to prepare for a Texans defense. And something that I didn't allude to, sorry to go on, Farrell, but something that I didn't allude to in our preview show was the amount of Tampa 2 that Texans actually run. And Derek Carr struggles with those. They're going to take those deep shots away down the field. They're going to bracket Devontae, and you're going to see a lot of check down passes. So something that I talked about you before the show, with activating a DJ Turner and you're wanting to see what you have in him, I wouldn't mind seeing this guy lining up behind the line of scrimmage and getting involved in the pass game. DJ Turner is a guy who can make guys miss in space. And I think you get DJ Turner the ball, maybe use him in that kind of, that Deebo Samuel role. Now, I'm not saying he's anywhere near the type of player, but with the lower half of his body built like a running back and his ability to make guys miss, you just got to get the football in his hands and see what he could do. So Josh Jacobs, DJ Turner, those guys out of the backfield, and really rely on those guys over checkdowns, because the Texans are going to play a lot of Tampa 2, and historically Derek Carr has struggled with this.
Yeah, and you can look at DJ Turner's skill set, and you kind of can see that he has that run after the catch ability. And it's just so happens, you made a good point, that they're playing against a defense where Derek Carr is probably going to be dinking and dunking, because they're going to try to stop the big play from happening.
Yep,
that's the whole point of that cover 2. What's the head coach? I'm forgetting his name. Head coach of the Houston Texans. Lovie Smith, that's his whole background is that Tampa 2, that cover 2. So, and in a very sneaky way, the Texans have been playing good. They've been playing good against the pass, bend but don't break defense. They're really good in the end zone, and we talked about that in a preview show. You guys got to check it out. But you made some good points about DJ Turner being a good player this game. We'll see, man. He is a rookie. Is he a rookie? Is his second year in the league, or rookie? If the chat, y'all can help us out.
No, yeah. I think he's an undrafted free agent.
He's an undrafted free agent, right?
Yeah.
And I want to get to this comment right here, because I forgot to actually mention this. We didn't get to talk about this before the show. But how do you feel about Magic Johnson? I mean, becoming a minority owner of the Las Vegas Raiders.
I mean, what does that really entail? You know what I mean? Like, what is that? Is this a business move? Like, if this is a business move for him and whatever, you know what I mean? Like, to me, it is what it is. Now, does this mean gets a say in what? Like, what does that look like if he gets minority share of the team? Does he have decision-making, like, involvement since he's invested into the team? I don't know. I don't necessarily know how to look at that. I think I want time to kind of, like, play that out. I thought it was pretty it kind of came out of nowhere. So I'm kind of curious to see what that's all about.
See, my take is on it. It's a chess move.
Okay.
I,
right,
I believe it's a chess move. Right now, obviously, he's a minority owner. We all know Mark Davis runs the team. He's the majority owner of the team. But Mark Davis, respectfully, is not going to live forever. You know what I mean? And he doesn't have an heir. You know what I mean? He doesn't have a son. He doesn't have anybody waiting in the wings. I believe he does have a mother, his mother, Carol Davis, who's not actively running the team, obviously. But you know, you can kind of see like people are trying to position themselves and trying to take control of this team because the Raiders have increased value ever since they've gotten to Vegas, and I remember watching listening to a podcast with I believe I forgot the name of the rapper, but I keep hearing like I think Raiders are kind of like one of those teams where people are keeping an eye on as far as a possibility of possibly getting ownership. And to me, I think it's a chess move for Magic Johnson. Is it a guarantee? No, but he's trying. He wants NFL ownership, and I think he sees a possibility in the Las Vegas Raiders. So
do you think that's good long term, like in your opinion?
That
him specifically, not necessarily if there's.
Well, it won't be just him. I think it'll be him and a group of other owners. They'll come together and they'll buy the team. I'm not sure if his pockets run that deep to buy the Raiders, especially at their current value, and it's ever so increasing. You know what I mean? The Raiders brand. Are you serious?
What's the Raiders team look like when the Davis family is no longer involved? Won't that be weird? You know what I mean? Like who is Mark gonna pass this thing down to? You know, he's the only child. Like once the Davis family is out of this, like
I've always wondered that. I've always wondered what was gonna happen if, you know what I mean. And hey, everybody that's in the building, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Also subscribe to my boy over here, RealRaiderRay. The dude is putting out work, man. We've been collabing every week, so you want to make sure you subscribe to both of our channels. YouTube, RealRaiderRay, obviously is on the channel. And then if my mods, y'all can ever so help me, please place the links in the chat to help people subscribe to both our channels as well as like the video. Just give people a friendly reminder, man. We appreciate y'all. But yeah, man, I think it was an interesting move. I mean, a lot of people were kind of talking about it. And I thought it was interesting, but to me, I think it was a chess move. Was it a guarantee that he's going to own the team one day? You know, it's not a guarantee, but thought it was interesting because if you think about it, like you just said right now, who would, if Mark Davis died today, what would happen? You know what I mean? Do we know that? You know, we don't know that for sure. We don't know.
What does it look like? That's what I'm curious about. Really though, how do you feel about this entire AFC West though? Like, I don't feel like it's kind of lived up to everything that we were talking about this offseason, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I think the Chargers' issue is coaching. Their coach seems to make issues and critical moments. You know what I mean? He's super aggressive, but it's like, come on, like you got to be strategic about your aggression. You know what I mean? I thought it was going to be improving year 2, but I think a lot of fans are kind of like questioning them. I know they're at like 4-2 right now, but I think I'm not a Charger fan, but I just know that they got to be like kind of sweating bullets right now because they know when it comes down to playing against the good teams, it's not going to work. You know what I mean? It didn't work against us. We beat them we beat them to go to the playoffs because of
in a game that we had no. I mean, okay, look, I'm a Raider homer, and I felt like, hey, look, when we play the Chargers, I truly believe that we have the opportunity to beat them each and every time. That's just how I feel as a Raider fan. Mm-hmm. But when you look at the course of last season, specifically that last game, I don't feel like the Chargers had any excuse not to go in there and beat the Raiders. I mean, they were the much more talented, much more healthy football team. And, you know, coaching decisions, execution. That's why necessarily I've never really feared the Chargers. I feel like the Chargers become the Chargers. So, yeah, they have a lot of talent. Justin Herbert's a really good quarterback. Austin Eckler is a huge threat out of the backfield. I mean, they've got everything that you want, right? Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. But, dude, I always feel like the Chargers are the Chargers, and they find a way to lose games that they had no business losing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I the way we played KC, they look beatable. Denver is like, man, they got some deep-rooted issues. Wilson,
you see, they're holding out Wilson.
They're holding out Wilson?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
I believe he has an injury, and he's not going forward Like he's not going to be the starter next week. I don't believe.
Wow.
There's a report that I seen. That's how they worded it, which I thought was weird. They said like Denver to hold out Russell. Like Russell wants to play, but Denver is saying like, no, we're not gonna.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very, very interesting when you just signed that quarterback to over $240 million for 7 years.
And there's a lot of stuff coming out about Russell Wilson right now.
Yeah.
Like KJ Wright coming out on Sherman.
Yeah, like I'm hearing a lot about how the players don't really like him like that. You know what I mean? It's crazy how like a lot of this stuff comes out after the fact because they don't want to really talk about it because sometimes players are they're aware that like if they say certain comments, it can affect their job security. You know what I mean? So like now it's
kind of dirty that like all this stuff always comes out of the shadows, right? When you are down, like when you're low. Like Russell ain't playing good football, so it's like, oh, how about we just bring up how Pete Carroll was like babying him and he chose the defense over us and nobody in the locker room in Seattle liked him. And why does it happen like that? Like, why doesn't it ever come out like when the Denver Broncos make that signing and people talk about it? Like, I don't know if I really like it. But you've got 6 months of you talking about, oh yeah, it could possibly work out. And the moment it starts going bad, you're like, yeah, well, and I don't know. Part of it to me, I'm just like, nah.
Yeah. No, I get you, but I really, you gotta like look at things and you gotta like realize that, hey, we have our perspective as fans, but also the players have their own perspective. And what their perspective is, they're in the locker room. They actually play the game. You know what I mean? The coaching staff, they actually coaches. So they have different types of experience. They actually get to know the players, their personality. And I thought it was very interesting that Marshawn Lynch and I believe Richard Sherman had a little talk and, they had like a little friendly back and forth about like, hey, look, like, Marshawn was like, hey, I want to talk to Russell Wilson. And, Richard Sherman sarcastically was like, oh, you mean his manager? So you have to talk to his manager. And Marshawn was like, hey, if I can't call you directly, then I'm not calling you.
No, exactly.
And that was real. You know what I mean? I kind of like understood that. Like, I'm like, hey, look, like if that's how if Russell Wilson is treating his own teammates like that, you know what I mean? Like great players like Marshawn.
I bet it won't be too long.
Sherman.
Like if this keeps happening, I bet it won't be too long until players that are currently on the Denver Broncos start saying something too.
Man,
if he carried that over, because let's just give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he improved upon those things, right? Maybe he is the type of guy now that you could pick up the phone and ring him. I mean, we don't know that. But so giving him that benefit of the doubt, maybe he improved and changed over time. But if he isn't, and these things that are in the media start to circulate that these things are true, it'll be interesting to see how the Denver Broncos locker room reacts to that.
Yeah, and we're talking about this, Raider Nation, because they are in our division. They are an opponent, and I'm glad their issues are not ours. You know what I mean? They're not the Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders. They have deep-rooted issues. They just signed a big-time contract for a quarterback that it doesn't look like it's going in the right direction, man. And SVT Vasquez wanted to remind y'all, he says, hit that like button. Make sure to hit that like button. The algorithm is very, very real, so we want to make sure we keep coming back with content. And hitting that like button helps a lot. Also, if you ain't subscribed, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. The road to 1K continues, man. I'm trying to get to that special number. I'm growing every day, and I appreciate all y'all support. And also subscribe to my boy, RealRaiderRay, man. We do a weekly show, so you want to make sure to subscribe to both our channels. And my mods, if you can, make sure to post the links. Appreciate y'all. But yeah, man, GA Pager said the Chargers are going to be the Chargers. Facts. Yeah, 100%, man. Like, we can't trust the Chargers right now. They are a talented team. I'm not gonna lie, but they are a talented team. Daniel Kim says, based on film, what parts of the field can we attack and feed the rock to JJ?
So, like, this Texans defense is going to make you test the boundaries, right? The Devontaes, even guys like Mac Hollins, who's going to get a lot of burn, I think, this week. But really, this Texans team is really going to force you to take the short passes, take everything underneath. They're going to give up the yards, but when it comes to getting down into the red zone, they're going to be really efficient of tightening up that defense and not giving you much to work with. So there's going to be a lot of checkdowns, Raider Nation. However, if you can get Josh Jacobs involved, getting good push up the middle, get Josh Jacobs involved into that second level. I think if you, especially early on, if we see Josh Jacobs start to break away and get into the second level of that Texans defense, it's going to bode well for the Raiders offense moving forward as the game progresses. Because if you can continue to reset that line of scrimmage on the Texans, you have a real opportunity of finding success. I think both teams are going to have a pretty similar game plan. And the more that you get Josh Jacobs involved in the run game and get him effectively running the football, a situation that I want to see the Raiders do more with Derek Carr is play action, attack the middle of the field. You can get Devontae Adams going across the middle of the field. Get a guy like Foster Moreau if he's fully ready to go this week. Get him involved. You're going to see a lot. The Texans are really going to force Derek Carr to take his shots down the seam. That's another thing that this this cover 2 scheme does, is that you're going to have to take your shots down the seam. And that's honestly something that Derek Carr's kind of been struggling with. But that's why I've said keep your eye on Mac Hollins. I believe it was the Tennessee Titans game. We see Mac Hollins lining up, getting shots down the seam. He's a big body guy. He's able to go up there and make those contested catches. So going against this Tampa 2, get Mac Hollins involved. Attack the seams. Take your underneath. But you have to be efficient at making guys miss. Lovie Smith does a great job of making you take the checkdowns, but being a really good tackling football team. That's where they're able to have a really good defense, a really good secondary. So, yeah, I would attack. I would be aggressive with the run game, open up the play action, get going across the middle of the field, and then take your checkdowns where they are. And they're gonna obviously test you on the boundaries. That's what I see on film.
Yeah, facts 100%. And do you, just piggybacking off that question, and I know you said that they need to test the seams. You see Moreau having a big day tomorrow. You know what I mean? He's coming back from injury. Obviously, and that's another thing that we have to touch on is the injuries, man. You know what I mean? Like, right now, Darren Waller is ruled out, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, especially when our special guest arrives. If y'all seen that, we announced that Ray the Tape is going to be joining us tonight, man. He's going to be talking football, so we know he's going to have his takes on football. So we're gonna save some of the stuff that we're talking about for later when he comes through. But Darren Waller is definitely one of those guys that we want to bring up to him as well, because I know he has a strong take about him. But yeah, Moreau is healthy. He's going to be healthy this game. And do you see him being featured a little bit more this week?
I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that he has to. With Darren Waller being sidelined, you can't rely on Jesper Horsted. Foster Moreau has real talent, especially in this scheme. He lines up on the outside of the tackles and does a really good job of being efficient, creating chip blocks, helping out in the run game. He really benefits Josh Jacobs, but he does a lot for this offense. He has ability to be aggressive, go and attack the seam. Now, I don't know based off of his health how predominant of a role he's going to have. I think it's going to be crucial to get him involved, and coming off of a bye week, I think that bodes him very well. But get Mac Hollins involved too. Mac Hollins is a huge wide receiver. He's a huge target, and you got to really test the physicality of this defense. And if you are going to take shots down the seam, I'm going to continue to hammer this home. Look for Foster Moreau. Look for guys like Mac Hollins, because those are going to be your big target options for Derek Carr.
And GA Patriot says play action don't work unless the defense believes you're going to run and fears your runner. But look, I'm sure the Texans have been watching film. I'm sure they've been watching film. They've seen that how our offensive line has been run blocking, how Josh Jacobs he's literally third in the league in rushing, and he's coming off a bye week. That's crazy. You know what I mean? So, you can make an argument that there's a good chance that Josh Jacobs could lead the league in rushing. You know what I mean? When's the last time a Raider running back led the league in rushing, man? It's a possibility the way he's running the football. So I think that play action is definitely going to be working for the Raiders. And I think they should be using it, especially against this cover 2 defense that they primarily run. And we got moving through the chat. Let me try to. Daniel Kim says, as long as it doesn't hit his face, man, Mahomes will be all right. Okay.
He's really just had one of those games, right?
Digital Prez, man, appreciate you pulling up, man. We see you growing over there, brother. Hey, man, hopefully you get to that 1K by tomorrow, man. I see you going fast, man. That's what's up, man. Love to see you going. Me and Ray were talking about you, like, man, like this dude is going fast, man. We respect your hard work. And if y'all haven't subscribed, make sure to subscribe to Digital Prez. If someone wants to post this link, go ahead and post this link. But Van City says, Van City Raider trade Teamer for a hamstring. Give it to Waller.
Facts, Van City.
Man, that is hilarious, bro. Man. No, SBT, my brother Ray, that motherfucking tape. Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. He's gonna be.
Yeah, we're gonna have good dialogue, man.
Yes, Ray Farrell, Ray. Stand by to be a classic night. Hey, man, you said it, man. You said it. Hey, Zeus is in the building, man. He says, "What's good, fellas?" What's good, man? I appreciate you pulling up, man. But yeah, man. Hey, man. Look, I want to see.
I want to see Prison Mac. That is fact, bro. Dude, Mac
wanna see
Hollins is a
Prison-
character, bro. I love it. I love it.
Hey, you know what's funny about Mac Hollins? This dude, the week before I posted a short about it, and he was talking about, I think it was like NFL Today, Good Morning NFL, and he was talking about how like he walks barefooted everywhere. Then he dropped something tomorrow on his IG about his barefoot, and guess who popped up in the injury report
With a heel.
with a questionable heel? This dude's
Put
hilarious.
some
bro.
shoes on, boy. You got
Facts,
$1 million feet. We need you on the field on Sundays.
Yes, sir, man. Hey, you gonna get to that one, man? Hey, man, I'm trying, man. Best I can, but I will, man. I'm patient. I know I'm gonna get up there, but I appreciate everybody. So I'm growing. Everybody's growing. I love to see it. Raider Nation is growing, man. Like y'all, Raider Nation know how to support their own, man. That's the one thing I love about Raider Nation. Raider fans, they know how to support everybody. So I appreciate everybody. So make sure to hit the like button, as you can see on the screen. Like button, comment, and subscribe, man. It really helps with the algorithm. So I really appreciate the support. But let's get back to football, man. So one of the injuries that popped up was Hunter Renfrow. You know what I mean? Hunter Renfrow popped up on the injury report again, not for concussion, but with a hip, and he's questionable for the game. He did practice in a very important practice. Usually it's a good sign when you practice the last practice, which is Friday, and when you play Sunday, Friday's the last practice. That's a good sign that you're going to play in the game. But man, Hunter Renfrow is another guy that's been hurt this season, man. Like, tell me your thoughts on him, man. Like, what do you expect from him if he does play? Is this a good game for him to act? Because I know you touched on it when we did our preview show, but let the people know, man.
No, yeah. I mean, the things that's going on with Hunter Renfrow is extremely unfortunate. 2 of the 3 pieces of this offense that was making him so dynamic, you really haven't seen them, right? And when we did get a big chunk of Hunter Renfrow, there's 2 fumbles, and it really led to the Raiders losing that game against the Cardinals in overtime, which we still talk about it to this day of how bad that one stings just because of the deficit. But Hunter Renfrow, man, he's a guy that this is why these Nelson Aguilar rumors aren't that far-fetched. Because 2 of your 3 weapons that you have expected to be a part of this offense just have not been there. They haven't been healthy. Let's just call a spade. And to make this offense, defensive have been playing this offense not like they would as if all those weapons were to be available. So they're really bracketing down on Devontae Adams, really making Devontae have to beat the first guy to make it single coverage when he is doubled. And then you're missing a Darren Waller, so they're not as worried as a guy like a Jesper Horsted or a Foster Moreau. You line up in the slot, you know what I mean? And you got a Mac Hollins, who Mac Hollins has made some plays, but there is a topic of conversation that, hey, we got to get somebody involved in here primarily to create speed on this offense. So Hunter Renfrow, man, I hope that it starts to click. I hope that he can get healthy. It's just been one of those seasons on the offensive side of the football, really at the skill positions that the Raiders have been dealing with. The injury bug has been real. And look, we'll get to Darren Waller. I was about to get into Darren Waller, but we'll stick to Hunter Renfrow. You got a hip, you got a concussion. We're 7 weeks into the season. We've got to get it turned around, and hopefully he can get that going. I do fully expect him to play this game. But to what capacity, and do I want him taking more damage? And I don't know, man. I think everything is on the table right now to even go and get another weapon. And I think all signs kind of do point to Nelson Aguilar for me.
Facts. Salute Dirty Raider, man. I appreciate you pulling up, man. Hope all is well with you, brother. Doing good things on the late night, man. If y'all haven't subscribed, make sure to hit up Dirty on a late night, man. He runs a good and interesting show, man. He knows how to bring it on a late night. But GA Patriot says, facts, Pharaoh. Now that McDaniels finally recognized Jacobs, Carr can practice his fake handoff. Man, hey, I'm just saying, man. Like, the one thing you can say about McDaniels and be critical about him is the fact that he took this long to figure out that we actually had a running back in Josh Jacobs.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And you can argue that it cost us some early losses. You know what I mean? Specifically, the one key loss of the season, which stings. And I was telling you this before the show. It's every week that goes by, I keep thinking about that loss, how bad it was against the Arizona Cardinals. You know what I mean? And I know the popular thing that everybody's saying right now is like, hey, we got 6 winnable games. We do on paper. But what makes those games hard is that we don't have any room for error. We have no room for mistakes because we dug ourselves a hole. So you know what I mean.
And even if you come away with just one of those wins, you know what I mean? If you just came away with the Arizona win, or you just came away with the Tennessee, and you're sitting at 2-3 right now going into a Texans game instead of 1-4, man, you've really backed yourself up in a corner where there's not a lot of room for losing any football games. Like, you're learning, you've got it out of the way, right? But there is a part of this that I really I like about the coaching staff. I like about this locker room. It's really easy to give up that early, especially when you face a 1-4 deficit. But their eyes are set in November and December, and that's what good football teams do. Is if they're playing their best football in November and December, and this offense really starts to click come the start of December, late November. I'm telling you, as long as the Raiders can find a way to get out of this area in their schedule and come away with the wins that they're supposed to get, and then November and December comes along, they've got a real shot. They really do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And guess what? We got someone in the backstage, man. We got the special guest of the night, man. The guy is doing his thing, man. You guys know him, man. He knows how to break down film. One of the best to do it in Raider content creating, man. Like he's actually. I'm gonna say this right now. When I first went on any type of live, it was actually on Ray's channel. So like Ray's one of the first Raider content creators that I watched and went on his channel and inspired me to start my channel. So salute to him. And he's backstage, man. I'm about to bring him on right now, man. What's good, Ray, man? What's up, man?
Ray, what's good, bro?
Man, finally, you blessed my channel, man. What's good, man? How you doing, brother?
Hey, you're muted.
You're on mute, brother. You're on mute. I think it's on your side.
Audio good?
Yep, you good.
You good?
Y'all hear me? All right, man. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate the welcome. Appreciate the introduction, man. Yeah, finally able to come on. It's been a while, definitely been a while. Appreciate you, Pharaoh. Shout out to RealRaiderRay as well. Appreciate y'all reaching out, getting me on here. I haven't really been live myself, lately. So it feels good to go on somebody else's channel, which I haven't done in a while as well. Last time I was on somebody else's channel was actually Ray's.
Yeah.
Okay.
I appreciate y'all bringing me back on, man.
Yeah, man. You're always welcome, man. Like you're knowledgeable about the Raiders, man. We want to talk to you, man. And we're saving a lot of the stuff that we want to talk about with you.
Yeah.
Right now, we're talking about the latest with the Raiders when it comes to injuries and obviously rumors. And Sean Johnson, we'll just start here. Sean Johnson over here puts up a comment, man. Salute to him. He said, Pharaoh and Ray and Raid, man. What's your thoughts on Clee and Abram and a late pick possible to Eagles for Fletcher Cox? Pause. Not saying do it, just want your guys' thoughts. Now, is this something that you came up with, Sean, or is this an actual rumor, man? Because
this is Sean.
It's instant.
This is Sean.
Sean trying to be creative.
I love it, man. I love it. Me personally, I love it. That it's a position of need, man. We don't have a pass rushing D tackle, man. We got some guys who are actually playing well against a run, but when it comes to pass rushing, we haven't had anybody step up like we did last year when we had a committee of D tackles come through, and it actually worked with what we had last year. But this year, with the way Patrick Graham is kind of like, ran the defense a little bit, like as far as like the because Max Crosby, I think he's like in a career high of snaps. Like he's never played this much, I believe. You know what I mean? So like they're not really rotating the DNs and the D line as much as they did the previous season, is what I'm trying to say. Okay. So like,
and there's not a big emphasis on being able to rush from the middle. Like, and historically, Patrick Graham has tried to get those big guys up front because he has those lighter linebackers. The Divine Diablos, the Jayon Browns. He's got these lighter linebackers, so he's put an emphasis on bulking up the middle of the defense. And I mean, we could say what we want about the pass rush on the interior because it is a big need. I mean, let's just call it a spade. But the run defense has actually been pretty good. You know what I mean? And it's allowed this secondary to also be able to close in a little bit. It's just honestly for me, you guys, it's the red zone defense, both offensively and defensively, is to be able to get off the field, limit teams to 3 points. The Raiders just haven't been able to do that. What are your thoughts on the defense rate?
It's hard to say, man. I've been on a Twitter war this last like 36 hours, man. Going crazy.
I've seen it, bro.
This defense, I can't really say too much because I feel like this is something that's been going on for like 20 years. And people thought at the beginning of the season, we got Patrick Graham, we brought in Chandler Jones, that all of a sudden we'd be, top 15 at least, and This is why I felt that we need to always wait as Raider fans for these guys to come in and prove it. And not only that, as far as the defense, and when you were talking about the snaps, Max Crosby, it seemed like he always plays 100% of the snaps, right? Last year, he played almost 1,000 snaps, if I'm not mistaken, almost 1,000 snaps. And if you watch the game, you think about it, when does Chandler Jones and Max Crosby ever get taken out for like a Malcolm Kuntz to come in at the edge? For a Cleveland Farrell, he'll come in at like D tackle for the NASCAR package. But you never see like a Kuntz come in every once in a while, give Chandler Jones maybe a breather. Maybe he doesn't need one, but I don't think it's a matter of if he does or doesn't. I think it's a matter of just being able to get more guys out there that can probably provide you with something that Chandler Jones maybe isn't. And Malcolm Kuntz is a guy that I feel like we should see more of. Why is he not getting more burn? Especially if we're not getting to the quarterback for almost, what are we, last or 31st in sacks?
Right. And obvious
so why not experiment?
Downs, right?
So
Malcolm Kuntz is one of those situations. It almost feels like is this a practice issue? Like the guy has so much talent, and the Chandler Jones and the Max Crosbys of the world are getting so many snaps. It's like, is Malcolm Kuntz not doing enough at practice? Which we've been hearing those rumblings, whether it be from Derek Carr, Devontae Adams, about guys having to practice and be more efficient when it comes to the practice field. Do you think it could be one of those situations why Malcolm Kuntz necessarily hasn't been able to get on the field?
Potentially. I think that was one of the reasons. I heard you guys talking about wide receivers earlier, how Tyron Johnson got cut. And I think that's one of the reasons Tyron Johnson just wasn't able to get out there, because when you listen to the offensive coordinator and they asked him about Tyron Johnson, he said, we got to see more in practice. We got to see more in practice. Mm-hmm. And then, just like, a week after he was talking about that, then we let go of Tyron Johnson. And we never seen him really in the game. So it kind of tells you right there that, they're really watching practice more to find out who they really want to be in the games. And that's why I think what happened to Tyron Johnson. And I think that's what's happening to Malcolm Kuntz. We've seen, just one small highlight in the offseason of Malcolm Kuntz kind of like running into Derek Carr. Josh McDaniels got mad. He's like, what are you doing? What the F are you doing? And I don't know if it's small nuances like that, but at the same time, it's like you watch the games and you see the guy produce. If he produces on the field in the game, he produces. And at the end of the day, I don't care what he does in practice. You know what I mean? Right. You're not going to sit there and be like, I'm not going to play Allen Iverson because he didn't do great in practice.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
I just think their philosophy is their philosophy. And this is a new regime. They're trying to build a culture. And I respect that 100%. But when you're losing, it's hard to continue to trust the process.
Right. And you can criticize everything.
You think he's somebody who could be on the trade block, Malcolm Kuntz?
I don't know if he'd be on a trade block per se. But notice how we're willing to trade defensive players so quick, though. We're willing to trade defensive players. Trayvon Mullen. We're talking about Abram and Cleve Farrell could be traded. Why don't we ever hear about any of these offensive guys being traded? You know what I mean? And I feel like there's a huge bias on this team, man. And it's frustrating because at the beginning of the season, I felt that the offense should lead us. They should be closing games off for us. They should be leading us. They should be our backbone. It should be everything we expected them to be, right? And we're talking about the defense that we really didn't invest in, and we're just moving pieces away. And it looks like we're trying to revamp it or we're trying to reinvent it at this point with Patrick Graham. But it's tough to say, man, because we're still at the bottom 5 in defense. So hopefully we see some changes here coming up against the Texans, and because their offense isn't that good. Let's be honest, their offense is that good.
And I talked about this earlier too, is the fact that you know what I mean, the Raiders, their whole strategies was doubling down on the offense. Yeah. They came here to win, you know what I mean, and they felt like in order for them they felt like the offensive side of the ball, they were closer to being a dominant offense than they were a dominant defense. Let's be honest, it'd probably take them about 2 off seasons for this defense to be legit. You know what I'm saying?
That's what
you can make an argument. You can make an argument, but I feel like the offense was closer. And I know I've heard your takes.
I agree 100%. The offense is closer. I agree 100%. Offense was closer to being that to that point of being elite, right? But when you think about it, man, it's like we've consistently been above average offense. Even through our woes in the past, since we've had Derek Carr, we've been above average offense. We've never had an average defense.
Right.
And then so when these guys come in and they can, like you said, double down on the offense, it's like, I get it, but at the same time, we've been good on offense with what we have.
Right.
And then you put so much investment, draft picks 1 through 4 on the offense. 1 through 4, because you use those picks for Devontae Adams, and you get an offensive lineman, then you get a running back that you don't even use. And then you put all this money into the offense. Where's the help on the defense side of the ball? That's an actual investment, right?
So to even like paint a picture for what you're saying, to see a big picture of what the Raiders are actually doing, could you have seen them, Josh McDaniels, come in and establishing his offense, getting them up to that point to where they're elite, and having a big picture of the organization, multiple years down the road?
Yeah.
Dave Ziegler came out in his interview and was saying how every single day they have a meeting about 2023. Mm-hmm. Now, with the offense having a year in Josh McDaniels' system at that time, Devontae and Derek and all these pieces that are on offense, right? Getting to understand this offense. Going into 2023, you can really make an emphasis of that draft to go out there and make some big defensive moves. Maybe go out there and get one of the premier interior pass rushers when it comes to the defensive line. Maybe you have to. And if you're thinking about it long term, I think like it's not necessarily a bad idea. Right now, we're in that growing phase of, look, I believe it was on your show, actually. Either you brought it up in one of your segments or somebody commented and they said that the Raiders defense is like 32nd or 31st with money invested into the defensive side of the football. And then on the offensive side, they're either 6th or 4th. Yeah. So offensively in free agency, obviously they've tried to stack this offense and get it up to speed as quick as possible. And then I think in 2023, there's really going to be an emphasis on creating a foundation on this defense with young, talented football players coming out of the draft.
Yeah, I mean, they have to. They have to.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really think about it, because and we talked about this early in the show. We were like, hey, if they're gonna invest all that money into the offense, then they're basically setting themselves to draft defense in the draft.
Yeah,
which is I don't have a problem with.
Yeah.
No.
You know what I mean? But that's how you got to win. You know what I mean? You got to build through the draft at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like,
and to that point, they got their hands tied. It's not like there's a choice, right? There's no choice whether you go defense heavy going into this next season. Now, with that being said, did we go into this season thinking, okay, this is going to be a build season, or did we go into this season saying this is a playoff team? This is a playoff team carrying over with a head coach that's supposedly supposed to be an offensive guru, right? Patrick Graham's supposed to be better than Gus Bradley, so on and so forth. Nobody at the beginning of the season said this is a season we're going to build, and we're going to build up to 2023. Hell no.
Mm-mm.
Hell no. There's no way you take a playoff team and you go 1-4.
right.
There's no way you take a playoff team, add Devontae Adams, and go 1-4.
And we kind of talked about that too. And it was like, you preach this entire offseason that this isn't a rebuild, this is a retooling. But at the same time, when you bring in an offensive scheme that Josh McDaniels brings over, that is a very diverse, very deep, it has a deep language aspect, learning curve to it, to the point, Devontae comes out and says, hey, this is like learning Mandarin, this offense is. So,
and that's why Tyron Johnson couldn't figure it out.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's not necessarily a rebuild, but on both sides of the football, you've got a new defensive coordinator. They're learning now a 3-4 and a new terminology with new rules and disciplines. And then you bring in an offensive coordinator, head coach like Josh McDaniels, who comes with a huge extensive scheme. While it wasn't a rebuild and a retool, you still took 2 steps back because these guys had to take time to develop.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. It makes perfect sense, right? You get a new system, you're going to have to learn it. But with that being said, are we looking at the Dolphins' first-year head coach and being like, they're struggling because it's a first-year head coach? What about the Giants? The list goes on.
No,
There's
I agree.
10 first-year head coaches. Not first-year, but some of them have head coaches before.
I agree. I think. I just want to say this too is that we talked about this and we're like, hey, look, at the end of the day, the rough start to the season is on the coaching staff. You know what I mean? Because they could easily simplify this this offense and defense. They could have easily handed the ball to Josh Jacobs against the Arizona Cardinals. You know what I mean? And that's you could make an argument that, you know what, they lost fair and square against the Chargers. They lost fair and square against the Titans. But that Arizona game, I'm sorry, every week that passes, that's a game in my mind that stings because, bro, they're up 20-0 at halftime. They score 3 points after that, and they lose a game in overtime. You know what I mean? We know what happens, but the ball couldn't go to Josh Jacobs for whatever reason, and it didn't go to his hands until against the Titans. But what happens against the Titans game, first half, the Raiders defense couldn't stop anybody. You know what I mean? They couldn't stop anybody, so it takes away that running game low key. You know what I mean? It you know. So, you know, at the end of the day, I say that to say is, you know, I do see that there's some positives. You know, moving forward, I think every game they've gotten better. Yeah, you know what I mean? They should have won that game against the Chiefs. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Doesn't, you know, we could say a lot of things, but
but the offense, you know, our Lambo broke down. We bought a Lambo and it's breaking down every damn game, guys.
Speaking of Lambo on offense, you know, we waited to talk about this because I know you have some strong thoughts about this, man. Is Waller, you know, tied in Darren Waller, brother. What? How do you feel about Darren Waller this season, man? How do you feel about him?
We should have traded him this offseason, like I said, in the middle of last season when he was hurt. He's going to be 30 years old. He has lingering injuries last year. He could not come back to the game for nearly the whole season.
Yeah.
And he got 2 years left on a contract, and we want to give him a contract extension that maxes him out as a tight end. And now he lingering injury, hamstring. Should have traded him.
I feel both ways. Let me
get this out quick because when I had even brought up,
I knew he was going to come with it.
Trading Waller. When I even mentioned it, you know how much heat I took for that? I took so much heat, bro. So much heat because I was like, I'm ready to trade him. He's going to be 30. He has lingering injuries, and you want to give him a maxed out contract? How stupid can you be? He got 2 years left. If you don't want to play on a contract that has 2 years freaking left, you gotta go, brother. It's not like these other guys that have only 1 year left.
But you know what, man? Come on, Raid. So were you saying? So you were saying before the season started, you were saying that you would pick Josh Jacobs before the season started, a running back, over Darren Waller?
What do you mean by pick? What do you mean by pick?
Because look, they didn't pick up Josh Jacobs' option.
I want to have
a lot of people were saying, like, you know what, they should trade Darren Waller and re-sign Josh Jacobs. You know, hindsight is 2020, but
I can't cap. I'm not gonna cap. I wouldn't have gave Jacobs his 5th-year option. I wouldn't have.
Okay.
You know, I criticized Jacobs a lot, especially last year.
Okay.
So going into the season, I would have traded Waller. That would have been done deal. That would have been a first-round draft pick easily. Or if we would have got him off with Devontae Adams or whatever the case may be, or something was weird with that, I don't think you could trade a player because Adams was on a franchise tag. That's why I didn't go or something like that. But that's what I would have done. I would have kept our first and got a D tackle. This was the draft to get a damn D tackle, guys. Right? So that was that. With the Josh Jacobs things, I wouldn't have given him his 5th-year option. And that's me trying not to cap right now. You know what I mean? At the beginning of the season, that was my mindset. At this point, that boy playing ball.
Let me say this though, because you're saying this is the draft. The last draft was a draft to get a D tackle. Yeah. What might be true, but it would have been in the first round. Would we have gotten that D tackle in the second round? You know what I mean? Because the first round is where I believe
it just depends where Waller would have went. You know what I mean? Like, because we would have gave the first for Adams, and then we would have got our first back for Waller wherever he went. Right? So
okay.
I don't really know. But that's at this point, that's that. Now, at this point, Waller's injured. There's nothing really to say. There's nothing really to say because he's out. I mean, he's not being productive. He's not on the field. What is the old saying, right? Your best ability is availability. And we just gave him a bag, guys. And it just sucks because you see that in Renfrow as well, which I got to give Renfrow a pass because he took a mean lick to the head. And that should have been a penalty, I feel like. He's a small guy. I mean, you know, Hunter gonna try to fight through anything and play. I feel like, but yeah, Waller. I criticized him. I wish we would have traded him. I wish we would have got a D tackle with that first round. And I think we would be squared away right now. I think we'd be way different football team because when you think about not only Waller, Renfrow, Devontae Adams, Derek Carr, investing in all of that, letting go of our first round draft pick from last year. You know what I mean? It just shows the offensive bias at that point.
Right.
And that's where I just,
like,
that's where I'm
feel
like this
though,
offense needs to freaking do something.
Like on film, though, I could still tell, like, even when Waller is in the game, now take the Kansas City one out of it because they only played 5 or 6 snaps, whatever the case was. But on film, in the games that Darren Waller was able to play, they still have a high respect for Darren Waller, and it does open up guys and other players on this offense. Now, this is just me doing, like, healthy pushback. Mm-hmm. Hunter Renfrow, okay, obviously is in the kind of the same situation. I mean, not exactly the same situation. Darren Waller's coming with a weird story with his girlfriend and all this other stuff. But the fact of the matter is both of them haven't stayed healthy, and both of them got a bag this offseason. So Hunter Renfrow's dealing with concussions. He's now dealing with a hip. I fully expect him to be able to go. Mm-hmm. But if Darren Waller really is injured, okay, and dealing with a hamstring, which I really do believe that he is, I do think Darren Waller is the guy that has an extremely hard work ethic and does put his best foot forward. Mm-hmm. Do we sometimes come too hard on these players? Like, I see Raider Nation lashing out like he's at a Padres game with his girl. Is he supposed
that's weird to me. I'm like, what does that have to do with football?
Yeah, like, is he supposed to like sulk in his room like for hours and just be watching film for 12 hours a day and not enjoy life because he's hurt?
No. I think what we need to argue about, and this is a valid argument, is that the fact that Darren Waller has been struggling since last season with injuries or drops. That's a fact. That's what we're talking about. All that other stuff, you could, you know what I mean? That's something.
Yeah, I don't really get into the off-field stuff. If he wants to go to the game with his girl, then shit, I'm gonna do the same thing. Fuck, right. You don't tell me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's like, let's just stick to football. You know what I mean? So I don't know what he does with his girlfriend, but I seen the Padres thing. It's what he does, what he wants.
It is what it is.
As far as football, yeah, he's just been struggling since last year, man. And I didn't even mention the drops. And as far as him being in the game, we won more games without him.
And not to cut you off,
last year we won more games. We went on a winning streak when he went out.
Right. Not to cut you off, Ray.
In the Cowboys game and Thanksgiving, and we won that damn game and put up the most points we put up when he went out. And then we went on a 6-game winning streak because he was out the damn game.
It's true.
Now, at that point, it kind of sucked out. That's when I was definitely sold. I'm like, damn, 6 games without him? Shit. You need to go. Like this time, but it's just this damn regime, bro. They ain't got me sold yet, man. They ain't got me. I ain't got me sold yet, man.
And Ray, not to cut you off, brother. GA Patriot says, can this panel speak to this comment? Waller's entire career has no production unless Gruden was his coach. Shots fired.
That's facts.
It's true.
That's fact. And it's funny because busting with the boys, Waller was on there, right?
Yeah.
And he says, with McDaniels, they have an idea in the red zone. Now I know what to do. Man, if you don't shut the hell up. You know what I mean? Are we still terrible in the red zone on offense?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, man.
We're struggling. So it's like
and the opportunities that they have, let's put it this way, because as hard as we come on the coaches, it has to do with the players as well, executing on the plays that are being called. And Darren Waller had, specifically that Tennessee Titans game, had a multitude of opportunities in the red zone where he either wasn't where he was supposed to be, drops, it was just so as hard as we do come against this coaching staff, I feel like if these players were executing, the Devontae Adams and the Hunter Renfrow on the last play of the Kansas City, execution, you know what I mean? Situational football, Devontae Adams getting both feet and down, that play you can kind of debate, it is what it is. But just execution. I think this both goes hand in hand with the players on this roster and the offensive scheme and the coaching. So I can't necessarily pin it one against the other. But what you're seeing is a culmination of both of these things not getting done together.
Right.
And what does that derive from, right? For me, it derives from Josh McDaniels. The offense, guys aren't where they're supposed to be. The terminology's too hard. Guys, receivers, this is what kills me, right? The last game we played was against Kansas City. The way it ended, and I feel like people forget how it ended. 2 receivers, we just gave $50 million combined. We gave them contract extensions, ran into each other on 4th and 1, guys. We were down by 1 point. All we needed was a field goal. These guys run into each other on 4th and 1, and this is what we're paying for. This is what we invested in. This is our head coach, the offensive guru. Aren't we supposed to go out there with the offense and win the race? Once you drive the Lambo, you're only down by 1 point.
And that goes to Ray's point though. It's execution and also
that's
like
Josh.
They haven't simplified it because players are running into each other.
Yeah.
And then obviously execution, you got one of your best players, your best player, and Devontae Adams, he can't get his feet in. You know what I'm saying? So
it's like you said earlier with the Cardinals game. Run the ball, bro. What are we doing? Run the football. Josh McDaniels once again. Now, this is what I would really like to know. Do you guys know who calls the plays?
I would imagine it was
Josh
McDaniels, right?
Josh McDaniels, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we run the damn ball?
Right. And that's why I said it early on. You could say it was coaching. It was coaching. Obviously, a combination of just like Ray said, man. Great minds think alike. We all kind of on the same page on this. Is that it's the fact that they're figuring out this offense, and it's complicated, and we're seeing it on the football field. But every game they've gotten better, in my opinion. Yeah. And the coaching has been an issue too, because the fact that we didn't run the ball against Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. You know what I mean? Like, how do you not take advantage of that, especially a Chargers team that struggled against the run the year before? I don't know what they were looking at. You know what I mean? Why are you not testing that out? Why are you not, using Josh Jacobs? You could make an argument for the Chargers game. Then the Arizona game, obviously we're up 20-0. Why are we not running the ball? Then obviously you just mentioned fourth and 1, 3rd and 1, whatever. Why are we not running the ball? We could easily kick the field goal. You know what I mean? It's so many different scenarios where we can nitpick, but obviously we're 1-4. And when you're 1-4, you can do that. We got to look at it, at the end of the day. Yeah. And let's flip the script. You know what I mean? Let's talk about the upcoming games, man. Like a lot of it, we talked about this a little bit. There's 6 games where people are saying are like winnable. Yeah. What are your opinion on that? Because my opinion, I'll just say it real quick, is the fact that they're on paper, they're winnable, but we've dug a hole so deep now that it makes those games that much tougher. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, because we can't make no mistake. We can't make any mistake because the players are going to feel that.
Yeah.
Hey, they're going to feel that on game day. Exactly.
It's that much more pressure. And my guy saying he had posted something today, like, how we feeling about the Texans game, something like that. I'm feeling like people sleeping on them. I feel like we're going into this game like it's a must. Like, it's obviously not a must win. Like, this is a winnable game. We should go in there and win this thing. And it's like we're 1-4. They got a better record than us, and their defense is ranked higher than ours. And I feel like we're sleeping on this team. And I would hate to go in there and it be another close game with a team we should have a comfortable lead against, right? So I just don't want us to sleep on any of these teams. Like, yeah, they're winnable, but all I got to say is don't go out here sleeping on these teams thinking that, on paper we're great. We fought against the Chiefs. This is on the 3rd, and the Texans are a terrible – yeah, we know the Texans are a terrible franchise. But it's like, at the end of the day, watch us go out there and, you know what I mean?
Another Falcons situation. We're 0-5
Yeah.
in the last 5 years coming off a bye week, by the way.
Yeah.
So that's why one of these games, bro, and then the Texans are coming off of a bye week. Like,
and I want to say this too. I gotta say this too, because before that Chiefs game, me and Ray were like, "Hey, we're talking about like what we need to see against the Chiefs. We need to see the coaching staff show up," and they did. In my opinion, they did. They did show up. The Raiders had a chance to win that game. They locked down. They played well against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. How many times? And the reason why I say that, how many times have we watched Chiefs games and it's been a blowout?
45.
Last year we got tore up last year.
Yeah.
They put up nearly a combined 90 points last year against us.
Right.
Exactly. So the coaching staff showed up. The players showed up. They executed when they need to, except at the end of the game. So that's why they're that much close to winning that game. But at the end of the day, I say that to say, man, the Raiders, man, it's. I think what they've, like I said, they've dug themselves a hole, and now these games are gonna like really come. It's gonna weigh heavy on them, especially on game day.
Yeah, the pressure's there. There, and it brings me to my record prediction, because I always go back to this. When I said we were gonna go 9-8, I got killed for that. At the beginning of the season, I got
respect to you, because you predicted last year's record. I remember you predicted last year's record at 10-7. You said
10-7 wild card spot, baby. Let's get it.
10-7 was my floor this year, and we've obviously not performed.
Oh yeah, man.
We've
Yeah,
not
man.
performed up to that.
You can't. Yeah, I'm not a very optimistic person. You know what I mean? And this Raiders team, they have shown me in the last 20 years that you can't be optimistic.
No.
You know, I need to be shown, and they need to prove it to me. You know, no matter who it is that comes in here, even if we got Andy Reid as the head coach, they need to come in here and prove it because we're cursed.
So what do you see for the next? What do you see long term for this team this season? Do you think that they still have the opportunity to go out there and punch a ticket into the postseason?
100%.
What's your opinion?
100%. If last year we were able to go on a 6-game winning streak after everything,
Then we're more than capable.
If we have all these weapons, we definitely have a chance because just like I said last year, the division's good, but it's always a grind. It's always a grind no matter what. So even if the Chargers are great on paper, the Chiefs are great on paper, all these teams are great on paper, you still have to go out there and win the games. And just like last year, it was a freaking grind, and we ended up making it at the very end on 10-7, and the Chiefs didn't. The Chargers didn't. Same thing this year. It's going to be a grind. If we go out there and we beat the Chargers in our next game, that right there, tenfold, will probably flip the entire script. It'll flip the entire script. Right now,
Especially if we go out here and win these games.
Record 3-2.
Right. And then I want to make a public service tonight. GA Patriot just reminded me, everybody subscribe to all three of these guys. This is Preds too. Facts 100%, man. If y'all haven't subscribed, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. That algorithm is very real, so we can keep coming back with fire content. Make sure to subscribe to me and Ray because we have a weekly show. So if you want to see that show, you got to subscribe to both of us. And obviously, if you haven't subscribed to Ray the Tape, come on, man. Like, go ahead and do so, man. Right now, he knows how to break down film. He knows what he's talking about. That's why we have him on the show, because he knows football. And so make sure to subscribe to him as well. And Digital Prez, man, I see you doing your thing, man. You put in a lot of work, man. I respect him. So make sure to subscribe. And Raider Nation, the one thing I'll say, man, y'all know how to support your own, man. I see it, man. I see it with all these content creators. Damn near all of us are close to hitting that 1,000 mark. You know what I mean? Other guys are you know, they're in a whole different universe when it comes to subscribers. But y'all know how to support. So I appreciate everybody that supports the channel. But let's get back to it, man. Let's talk about heading into this game, man. Like, all right, so we know.
I do want to ask Ray this real quick.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
What do you feel about this? Like Nelson Aguilar rumors. Do you like it or do you not like it?
I like the fact that he's already shown rapport with Derek Carr. He knows the. It makes sense. Let's just put it that way. It just makes sense, right? Yeah. I mean, I don't have to explain why it makes sense.
I think if you were going to go to get a wide receiver, I think Nelson Aguilar.
You know damn well why it makes sense, right? Yeah. So, with that being said, is he supposed to? Would he be what Tyron Johnson's supposed to be? I think that's kind of what it would be, right? He's supposed to be what Tyron Johnson was supposed to be. That's why you bring in Nelson Aguilar. Now, how cheap can we get him? I don't know. I'm pretty sure it'd be like a late.
Yeah, I'd imagine it's like a fifth.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing crazy. So I would love to bring him in. I would love to bring him in. Cut some players as well off of the wide receiver room. Like, bro, we only play Matt Collins and damn Devontae Adams. Like, what are we doing?
And not to mention, like, when 2 of the 3 big 3 on our team aren't contributing to offense, I mean, you got to get somebody out there who can take the top off of this defense. I mean, Matt Collins is not going to be that guy. These teams aren't going to respect him that much. Now, shout out to Matt Collins because he has produced a lot more than what I thought he was going to do. I think me and you were on the same page. Like, we weren't that big on Matt Collins. Yep. But Prison Mac has kind of grown on me. I'm not going to lie. So, so shout out to Matt Collins.
But, hey, you know what? Going back to the Aguilar situation, I think that this coaching staff trusts Aguilar. You know what I mean? I think when Josh McDaniels was there with Aguilar last season, I think he won the coaching staff over. That was a guy they targeted in free agency. That was a guy they targeted. You got to remember that. There's a guy that they went after. They gave him that contract, the contract that the Raiders couldn't afford. Even though we wanted to keep Aguilar, they went after him. And you got best believe Josh McDaniels was in that room with Bill Belichick and all the decision makers over there. Bill Belichick, you know what I'm saying? So they went ahead and signed him. I think it'd be a good move, man. I think, as in my opinion, like you just guys mentioned, the chemistry that he and Carr have, the fact that he's a deep threat, the fact that you can move him around in that offense. That's the one thing about the receiver position that's so tough for the receivers to learn, is that they have to learn every position. Matt Collins has said that in interviews. You heard Devontae Adams say that, and obviously Nelson Aguilar. We've seen him been moved around with was John Gruden,
Yep.
and now with Josh McDaniels, and now I think it'll be a great fit. Now,
Great.
I posted this on my story on Instagram. I was like, hey, yeah, does it come with a linebacker though? Does it come with a cornerback? Does it come with a D tackle? Because those are positions that we definitely need to get some players out of that. But that being said, I'm not going to be mad if we get Aguilar. That's not a move I'm going to be like, oh, I'm going to be mad.
Well,
Okay,
it's just,
so do you? Okay, so 3 months ago I made a video about trading Cleve Farrell straight up for Nelly Aguilar. Right now, would you make that move, Cleve, straight up for Nelly?
I feel like that would be like a cap move. You kind of release some of that cap from Klee, and then take on Nelson Aguilar's. It's a good trade. I'm gonna be mad at that. I think it'd be a solid trade.
Well, I look at it this way.
I like Klee, but
if Cleve's not going to get used that much right on this defense, how much is he technically adding to
exactly? If he's not going to be here next year,
to efficiency on the football field that's coming up to make decisions in games, right? Like win or loss decisions. I think Nelly could actually add more to that than the win-loss column that Cleve Farrell offers to the football team. So if you do go and you know that Cleve isn't going to be a part of the football team, go out there and get a Nelson Aguilar and plug him in like right away to an offense that could honestly use a shot in the arm at taking the tops off of these defense to open everything up for the other guys.
Bro, I would love to see it. I would love to see it, to be honest. I would really like to see Nelson Aguilar come in here. It's just weird that we're still targeting wide receivers. That's the only thing I would say. Like, I'm not.
Let's speak to a position that you love, man, dearly, man. Cornerback position, a guy that played the cornerback position back in the day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the rumors that you been paying attention to some of the rumors that of cornerbacks that's been connected to the Raiders at all?
I haven't really heard anything. Y'all gonna have to fill me in, man.
I think William Jackson was it William Jackson?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I heard about him. He was a former Bengal. Now he's on the Commanders.
Yeah, a guy that like
Sidney Jones as well from the Seattle Seahawks. I heard that he might be on the trade block.
Sidney Jones, okay. I wouldn't want him. Hell no. Keep him away from us.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind Jackson though. William Jackson seems competent.
Who was it? He was recently drafted. Y'all keep talking. I'm gonna think of it.
Is he on the Panthers? J.C. Horn, or is it like
not J.C. Horn.
But I heard J.C. Horn is untouchable though. He's one of the untouchable guys.
Oh,
man.
really?
Like,
oh dang, he a dog.
I know for a fact Derek Brown is, because I was like looking at their D tackles and I was like, oh, like if the
Raiders not trading him,
Derek
bro.
Brown,
not trading him.
Woo, but they're not gonna do that.
Yeah, they're not
gonna
trading
do that.
him.
Brian Burns, I heard, is a guy that they're actually on a trade block. Surprisingly,
that's crazy.
Surprisingly,
it was Bryce Hall. One of them, but I'm thinking of another one. There was another one.
Keep Bryce Hall away from
Bryce Hall.
Bryce Hall. Keep him away from us. Hell no.
Oh, you don't like him? You're not a fan?
He ain't gonna move the needle. I mean, we got. How much better is Bryce Hall than Anthony Averett? How much better is Bryce Hall going to be what Sam Webb could be? How much better is he than? I mean, none of them are better than Nate Hobbs.
Right.
You know
I
what
don't think
so
it's necessarily a DB that we need. I think that there's decent depth there, especially when everybody's healthy. It's that front seven. It's getting push on the interior. It's getting guys that even at the linebacker situation can create pressure, especially when we're blitzing 36% of the time. You've got to get linebackers that can actually get home, and that's what we struggled doing. You know what I mean? Like we're really good football team at stopping the run, but that front seven outside of Max Crosby, like God forbid anything happens to Max Crosby. Because, I mean, you take Max Crosby away from this defense, and there's no pressure. There's nothing. So I think it's more of an interior, and those are a hot commodity to find in the National Football League. It's not easy to come around a defensive tackle that's able to push the pocket. And if you're looking at somebody at the trade deadline, you're going to have to give up a decent amount of resources to go out there and get a reasonable guy who's actually going to come in immediately and make an impact. So, look, we can talk about the trade on defense all you want, but I mean, unless you're willing to give something significant up, you're not going to go out there and find a guy that's gonna make a huge difference.
And that's what I was kind of getting to, is that our hands are tied. Like what I was saying earlier, we don't have anything we can do to move the needle. Like we're stuck unless something crazy happens and the team is like, oh, we're gonna trade Daron Payne, we're gonna trade Jonathan Allen, or we're gonna trade Derek Brown or something like that. Unless something crazy happens, it's not going to happen. So our hands are tied. And what do? We went out and we drafted 2 defensive tackles we've yet to see any production from. We've yet to really see any burn.
No, they haven't been on field. No.
So
no, thank you, Dirty Raider, by the way. Sorry to interrupt. It was C.J. Henderson. That was the DB I was thinking about.
Okay, yeah.
C.J. Henderson.
Yeah, I said, yeah, for sure. C.J. Henderson, I like him too. I like him too. He's still young.
Y'all made a good point about, and this is why a lot of trades in football don't happen, is because the likelihood of a player being Julian Love being an impact in the middle of the season, because man, NFL is very competitive, man. It's like it's really, they literally have to learn a play. The whole offseason and training camp is dedicated to learning the playbook. So imagine a player coming to a new team and learn the playbook. But my next question is it easier transition for a D tackle and a DN to come to a defense, to a brand new defense, than it is like maybe, let's say, a corner? It's a good question, right?
Is it easier for a defensive lineman?
Yeah, defensive lineman.
I would say
because you could just say go.
I would say because the corner.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
you play man, you play man. If you play in zone, it's freaking zone. You cover 2, it's cover 2. It's cover 3, it's cover 3. Now, when it comes to defensive line, it's probably be a little bit more difficult because depending on the coach, is going to want you to have the fits a certain way. He's going to want you to fill gaps a certain way. He's going to want you to go a certain direction. You know what I mean? When you're a corner and you're just a corner, it's kind of like a coach can kind of tell you, but at the same time, it's like, how much can he really tell me to play cover 2? Like maybe if it's a hard flats or if it's a soft, but at the same time, it doesn't really, you know what I mean? So deep line, I would say huge difference. I would say it'd be more difficult, especially because when you go from 3-4 to 4-3, you're still a corner.
Right.
When you go from 4, you know what I mean? But if you're a D lineman, then it's like Cleveland Farrell now is a D or outside linebacker. But we've seen them line up on the inside in NASCAR package. So it's like, I feel like it's harder for them, you know? Now, if you're a nickel corner, it's a little difficult as well because you have to come up and play run fits as well, or you might be in a certain, once a motion happens, you're going to be that guy that's going to have to figure out, are you going to go with him? Are you going to stay there on this kind of fit? So,
and I think it has a lot to do with the defensive coordinator too. I mean, what they're running.
I would say defensive line don't mainly.
Are they running a simplified scheme up front with the D line, or are they running a complex back end secondary where there's a ton of terminology, a lot of disguise coverages? Like, I don't know. That's actually a really good question.
Yeah. When it comes to the disguise coverage stuff, that's where it would probably get difficult.
That knowing where guys are going to be, time on task, like that's
when you start getting big touchdowns down the field, because guys are over there covering one guy.
Yeah.
2 guys are covering one guy, and then let someone just run down the middle of the field wide open. So
I would say the communication.
Speaking of defense,
go ahead.
A guy that I feel like is really we haven't criticized, and I'm not saying you have to or anything like that.
Right.
Someone I really like, someone I wanted to draft, Trayvon Merrick. And where is this dude?
Hey, man.
Hey, I think he's all over the field. It's just not showing up in the statistics.
Yeah, he's all over the field getting burnt.
Yeah.
He got burnt by Gerald Everett. I'm like,
what
you getting burnt by Gerald Everett, now Travis Kelce.
Is our best safety Daron Harmon?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Actually, Jonathan Abram, I don't know.
I like Abram, bro. I feel like Abram's been playing lights out.
On film, Abram's actually doing pretty good this year. I'm not even gonna lie.
I haven't seen a play this year to where I'm like, oh my gosh, Abram. No, I can't really say like I've seen one to where I was like, oh dang, Abram. I've seen a few from Merrick.
But here's the thing, like, the 7 receptions for 27 yards against Kelce. Merrick, low-key, he did do a good job going up against Kelce. It was the breakdown again with this defense when it comes to red zone. All of his production came in the red zone, and lack of communication, the defense breaking down. I can't put that all on Trayvon Merrick, especially when you have 2 guys on him. That's 2 guys who failed to do their job. So Trayvon Merrick, like last year, he was in that single high safety, that cover 3 system where he was just asked to guard everything over the top, come up and make clean tackles on loose and broken plays. In this scheme, he's just asked to do so much more. So to put him in a position now that he's doing that much more, it gives more room for error. So now his mistakes are starting to get put on film a lot more than what they did last season.
Yeah, I agree, but no excuse. You need to go out there and produce. At the end of the day, he got to produce. He was a potential first round, ended up falling to the second to us. You know what I mean? You need to go out there and produce, though. This is your second year. I mean, just get it done. Like, this is where, as Raider fans, like, we got to really just – I'm ready to boycott this damn team. I swear, man. I'm so frustrated, man.
You sound like a true Raider fan, man.
We're frustrated, bro.
I was, man, let me tell you, I was just at work and someone was like, oh, yeah, the Raiders game, blah, blah. I'm like, Raiders freaking suck. And he's like, what? That's my team. I'm like, so is it? It's mine too. And he's like, oh, shit. I'm like, yeah, bro, 1-4? 1-4?
Hey, but let's
man.
Hey, I appreciate everybody that's pulled up today, man. I really do appreciate it. And I haven't been getting into the chat, but Van City has a question for all of us. He says, Pharaoh, Ray, and Ray, let me pick your brains for a minute. Why, and because this is piggyback, this is actually perfect timing. Why in 20 years has this team not been able to figure out how to switch this losing culture into a winning culture? So I'm gonna let y'all take it. When y'all want to take it, I could start. Hey, the foundation of the Raiders literally has always been shaky, and that's been the people, the decision makers, the front office, the ownership has always been just dysfunctional. And when that happens, it doesn't set up everybody else for success, like the coaching staff. You know what I mean? Like the players. You know what I mean? Everything all connects. And when the foundation ain't set, then the players and the coaching staff are not going to be as good as fans. We're not going to see the best product on the field. Yeah. So that's my take on it. I'm gonna make it real short because I know you guys want to have y'all thoughts on it as well. Go ahead.
I would just say there's a huge gap there not gap, I would say, but there's a huge portion of that to where it was ran by Al Davis. And we knew Al Davis, you know what I mean, was dealing with what he was dealing with. And it wasn't, when he was running the show, it was difficult. Things were it just wasn't right. Now, when Mark Davis came in, this is where I feel like we kind of like we're made that turn. Like we're trying to make that turn. You know what I mean? We came in with JDR and Reggie McKenzie. It wasn't bad run, in my opinion. We got a quarterback. We went to the playoffs, after how long? 15 years? We went to the playoffs after 15 years, after Mark Davis's first regime, right? And he gave them time. This is what I liked. This is what I like about Mark Davis. He gives his regime time. Reggie McKenzie, JDR, they had time. When we made it to the playoffs the next season, it faltered. That was 4 years. You got 4 years, brother. That's enough time. You got fired. Now we brought in Gruden. It was a long-term deal. It went sour. We ended up making the playoffs. He gave Gruden time, though, and it was proven in the contract. Now here comes Josh McDaniels. We're 1-4, and people were talking about Josh McDaniels. Fire. We started to hear that word come out. The hot seat. Mark Davis talked to Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels not getting fired. Mark Davis is not going to fire Josh McDaniels in the first year. And kind of why I said what I said in the previous two regimes is we've seen Mark Davis love to give his people time. Something Al Davis would never do.
Right.
He would fire them he would hire them, and in that first year, fire them.
Especially in his later years, man. He was desperate. He wanted to win.
Exactly. So I feel like that 20 years, we could talk about 20 years, but let's give Mark Davis his own. And I say Mark Davis is doing a decent job, and he is changing the culture. He has changed the culture. And I think he's trying to prove it by giving his people time to develop the team. And we made the playoffs we've made the playoffs each regime he's brought in so far. So let's see what happens with Josh McDaniels.
Right. Yeah, and I just think to kind of backpack, you guys both made pretty much every example that I was going to use, but it starts from the top all the way down. And I believe that when Mark Davis really took over the organization, I will say this, I think he genuinely loved the Raiders, and he really did put his best foot forward at the time. He made the decision at the time that he thought that was best for the organization. The JDR, the Reggie McKenzie, at that time, going out and getting Khalil Mack and Derek Carr, Amari Cooper. These were foundational pieces for the team at that time. You know what I mean? And that's something that the Raiders organization hadn't seen. It was a fresh start, and they were doing things the right way, and they were really hitting on some of those key pieces. Latavius Murray's, Gabe Jackson. I mean, they really did put together a pretty good team. Seth Roberts, UDFA. So you can't necessarily say that Mark Davis has gone out there and failed. You know what I mean? He's put his best foot forward. And then at the time when JDR was released and then John Gruden came in, John Gruden was just Mark Davis's guy. So he truly believed, giving him this 10-year contract, that was going to put the Raiders in the best position of success for the long term and have that big picture goal. Now, due to the circumstances that happened, obviously, hindsight, it's a bad thing. They weren't good at drafting in the first round. But even with the first round drafting woes, I mean, you can't argue the fact that the Raiders were becoming a better football team as the years were going on with Gruden. Now, was the play calling suspect and pretty predictable, and all those things. But as far as a talent on the football field and turning things over into wins, you gotta face it. Look, Henry Ruggs, they lose Henry Ruggs and they lose their head coach, and they go and win a 10-7 season and punch a ticket into a wild card. I mean, that was pretty impressive, and that's only because you've developed a good culture and a good football team.
Yeah.
Moving forward, though, Josh McDaniels came into a situation that none of the other regimes got to come into.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And there's a different sense of pressure on this regime because they came into a 10-7 playoff football team, and now you came into a situation and you've now regressed.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm with you guys. I don't think that Josh McDaniels gets fired, and I just see Mark Davis giving him time, and we might take 2 steps back before we take a step forward.
Put it this way. I could see Derek Carr leaving the Raiders before Josh McDaniels if the season goes left. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, and I'm not saying that that's going to happen, y'all. Just calm down. I'm not saying that's going to happen. What I'm saying is that Josh McDaniels is not going to get fired after the season. He's not going to get fired. You know what I mean? I don't believe so, because if you heard Mark Davis talk about Josh McDaniels in the press conference, like he was surprised that Josh McDaniels was available.
No.
You know what I mean? Like he was impressed that this guy was able to develop QBs, not just for Derek Carr, but for the future. You know what I mean? After Derek Carr, you know what I mean? He's seen what he did with Mac Jones. He's seen what he did with Matt Castle. You know what I mean? I'm naming guys other than Tom Brady because those are guys that he developed. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, even Jimmy G too as well. Like Jimmy G came from that Patriot system that, you know, Josh McDaniels was a part of that he helped develop those QBs. So I think at the end of the day, like a guy like Derek Carr is going to be the scapegoat if the Raiders don't make the playoffs. They struggle. You know what I mean? It sucks because Derek Carr. That's why, like, you know what I mean? It was a tough situation where, you know, when Gruden left and the Rick Bisaccia didn't become head coach. And I know you guys had some thoughts on that. Go ahead.
Well, I don't. Okay, you guys might not you might not agree. You guys might not agree with me on this one, but I think Derek Carr and Josh McDaniels are kind of hand in hand with each other. I really do think that Josh McDaniels came. If you guys remember, the Patriots were interested in Derek Carr when all those rumors were going on. I think Josh McDaniels came here because they had a good veteran quarterback in place. And I think he's going to give his quarterback time in this offensive scheme. He has a contract friendly, just like what Tom Brady was doing with him over there. I already know this offseason, regardless of the situation, Josh McDaniels, and we kind of alluded to this on the last show, if you move on from Derek Carr after this year, okay, Derek Carr being a quarterback who historically gets better in each year of the offensive schemes that he's in, okay, if you move on from Derek Carr after this offseason, you're now putting yourself in the position that you're already in this season. So, for example, if you go out there and get a rookie quarterback, you just got rid of a Derek Carr who had a full year in this offensive scheme, and now you're bringing in a rookie to learn Josh McDaniels' offensive scheme all over again, keeping you in that same situation. So, in my opinion, is a rookie quarterback better than a second-year Derek Carr with Josh McDaniels, where you've already created this foundation and this rapport and this offensive scheme? I think that they're honestly tied hand in hand because Derek Carr has such a good contract-friendly agreement that's open for another readjustment next year where he can come in and sign another contract for another 1 year, $27 million, whatever the case may be, and you can move forward with the continuity that you've built. So I think they both went into it together knowing, hey, there's going to be struggles and we're both going to have to learn and grow together. And I don't think that they expected to come out here and be clicking on all cylinders early.
Look, I can agree with that to an extent, definitely to an extent, not to the extent of being 1-4, but to the extent of definitely of having to have some learning curve and some adjustments. Now, to add to your point is, let's think about it. We've seen what happened when Josh McDaniels get a rookie quarterback with the Patriots. They got Mac Jones. They were able to win some games, right? They were able to win a game against the Bills and passed it 3 times. I don't remember, something like that. They only passed it 3 times against the Bills and still win the game. We don't have that kind of defense, right? We don't have Bill Belichick running in our defense either.
Right.
So I don't know if that kind of coincides with Josh McDaniels wanting to bolster up the offense. So it kind of overshadows the fact that the defense is not being run by Bill Belichick anymore. He doesn't have that in his hip pocket. So as far as him being tied with Carr, I agree with that as well. I don't think he comes here if Carr isn't here. Or not specifically Carr, but a quarterback as good as Carr or better, right? I don't think he would want to come into a situation. I think it kind of enticed him like, oh, they got a quarterback that's competent. That's pretty good. I could work with this guy, right? They got weapons too. So I think the team was set up for Josh McDaniels to come in and continue to have the ball rolling. So
And
He's not going anywhere. Also, the GM is – what are you going to do? Fire Josh McDaniels and then what? Keep the GM? It's not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen.
Or are you going to keep the offensive coordinator, the offensive lineman coach, all these guys that he brought in? It's you can't do that.
And when I said what I had to say, it's to say that, like, yeah, obviously Josh McDaniels came to the Raiders, and one of the reasons was because they had Derek Carr, a guy that he was interested in. And I heard the rumors as well that the Patriots were interested in Derek Carr in a trade, which obviously John Gruden in that front office, basically John Gruden, they shut down that trade request. But what I'm saying is that if this season goes left, there's a reason why they made that contract, and I think someone in the chat mentioned it too. AJ Simpson, look, he says Carr's contract says that too. You know what I mean? There's a reason why he signed a contract where it gives them a little bit of wiggle room. If it doesn't work out, they could just say, "Hey, you know what? You're a good guy, but it's probably best to go somewhere else."
But do you agree that if you do move on, that with this offensive scheme, like, are you almost unless you can land one of those top game-changing quarterbacks in the top of the draft, which means something really bad has to go on with the season, meaning the Raiders don't win any more football games really, and for you to land those top guys in the draft, do you think a rookie quarterback comes in here and can produce better than a second-year Derek Carr in the scheme and system with Devontae Adams in his second year? Because obviously McDaniels likes guys who has been in his system because he also brought Stidham over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just depends on who the quarterback is. I mean, some quarterbacks.
I mean, if he's a game changer, the next Pat Mahomes.
If he's a stud, he's a stud. But at the same time, in general, no. In general, no, it's not going to freaking happen. Not a chance. And if this regime got rid of Derek Carr, bro, everybody would turn on them. Let's be honest. Like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do after you get rid of Derek Carr? Like, there's not really many options.
It's because Derek Carr's in that tier where it's like, okay, if you get rid of him, who is going to be out there available that is actually going to be an upgrade over Derek? Because he falls in that
Andy
weird
Dalton,
range.
Jameis Winston kind of like.
Oh
thing.
God, no! Don't do that.
That's what we'll be.
Raider Room says, I seen a report saying Graham's defense is a little complex. Any truth to that? And I actually posted a short. It actually came from a former NFL player named Mike Pritchard. He was on the Raider Nation Radio on 920. He said he was pretty much saying that you can look at the film and see that the defense is overthinking. They're not playing fast. He's saying that why is Chandler Jones playing linebacker? You brought this guy in to rush the passer. Why is he playing linebacker? Why is he playing coverage? He's being really critical about this defense. And then he actually made a very crazy. He was like, "Hey, look at the Giants defense. They're better without Patrick Graham." What do you guys think about that?
I mean, you can make the argument that the Giants defense is doing better than what they were with Patrick Graham.
That's what I'm saying. You
can make that argument. So I mean,
you said with Patrick Graham,
without Patrick Graham,
but yeah. That's pretty much what Pritchard was saying. He was saying that the Giants.
Now, to be honest, I mean, he's not asking Chandler to go in coverage all that much. Now he did against in that Cardinals game. There was a few issues on film where in the red zone they were having Chandler Jones back off. They actually dropped Max and Chandler Jones back into coverage in the red zone and rush 3 like Andrew Billings, and that was that 20-second play where Kyler Murray's just running around in the backfield. I do think it's a little complex. I think after this bye week, maybe you can simplify a lot of things moving forward. And we'll only see that tomorrow, right? And moving on into these next few games, if they really took a long look in the mirror and said, hey, look, this stuff is too complex. These guys aren't getting it how we thought they would get it at this point. And we're going to see what is in behind the scenes with the Raiders organization here in the next few weeks. Because if you go and drop these games that we're about to play, that tells me that their eyes are probably set on next year, and if you don't go out there and make those adjustments, if you don't go out there and simplify things on the offensive side of the football and get your guys in the best positions to succeed, you're showing me what's really going on, because you really have to make the changes offensively and defensively. And I think Patrick Graham is that defensive coordinator that in the red zone, I do think you're going to see a little bit different things. I think truly Patrick Graham wants to see this defense thrive at a high level, and I think he'll try to make those adjustments. So I'm really curious to see, starting with the Texans, what kind of changes have been made on both offense and defense side of the football.
Facts, 100%.
Yeah. As far as the complexity of Graham's defense, I think it's high. I heard that before he even came over here when he was with the Giants.
Right.
And when I was watching the film of Patrick Graham when he was with the Giants throughout this offseason, it is complex because what he does is he runs multiple zones. He runs multiple coverages, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it might look like a 2, then it drops into a 3. It may look like a 3, drops into a 2. A lot of that going on. 2 high safeties, 1 coming down, two safeties blitzing, right? How often do we see that in the past? 2 safeties blitzing, and then your two corners dropping deep for you. So I think the complexity level is pretty high, and that's 100% fact. You got Max Crosby, and this is another thing. That's true. Whoever the player was that was talking about it, when I see Max Crosby dropping in the coverage, that's when I was like, "Damn, bro!" Like, what
I seen that too. I seen that during the game. I was like, "What?"
That's cornball stuff, bro.
That's how you get a Kyler Murray to sit back there for 20 seconds and go into school.
Yeah. I'd rather. It's hard to say like all out blitz, but you don't drop back your best coverage passers. Like you don't pay these dudes buku bucks to drop back into coverage, and it's just sad that this is what we got to deal with. You know what I mean? Like it may be complex, but at the same time, just because something's complex doesn't mean it's smart.
Well, to be fair, let's to be fair, we just got done talking about earlier how like the offense has everything invested in them, and the defense really doesn't have too much players. You could argue Max Crosby is the only elite player on our defense, and then it's everybody else. You know what I mean? You can argue who's better, we have solid players here and there, but altogether, obviously we don't have as much talent as the other so-called good defenses around the NFL. So a guy like Patrick Graham, he has to find creative ways to stop the other team. You know what I mean? To throw them off by blitzing, by doing different coverages, and to keep it real. At the end of all of our games have been winnable. And I remember you made this point, and it was a great point. Every game, the Raiders' offense had a chance to win the game, and the defense got the Raiders' offense the ball back, and that's all you can ask for at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying?
And that's where it ends for me. That's where it ends for me. And that's what I was saying at the beginning. We invested a lot into the offense. They're our backbone. When we started this season, nobody talked about the defense. Even the media didn't even talk about the defense. They just talked about this offense is going to be high-powered. Who's going to be able to stop everybody? You can't cover Waller, Devontae Adams, and Hunter Renfrow at the same time. It's going to open up this. They're going to be – bruh, we can't even score more than 3. We got -3 points against the Cardinals after the first half. And let me tell you how. Because we got a field goal – and their defense got the fumble and turned it back for a touchdown. That's -3 points, y'all.
Right.
That is -3 freaking points.
Right.
And we expect the defense already held them to 0 in the first half. You're not going to hold a team to 0 an entire half, guys. You're just not going to do that. And then when the offense gets -3 points, right? And people want to talk about the defense, it's just appalling to me. It's appalling to me. I'm like, we were never depending on it. When were we ever depending on the defense? Like, go out there and win the game for us. When did we ever hear that in the offseason? When did we ever hear a fan say this is going to be a top 10 defense that wins us games? Never. But it was all offense. Now all of a sudden the offense is getting excuses. The offense is getting this. We got an offensive-minded head coach, didn't we?
Right.
And then so it just goes tenfold, and it's just like, where's the logic? Where's the logic? You know what I mean? And it's kind of why I keep bringing up the Lambo analogy. Our offense is a Lambo. Our defense is a Dodge Charger. And it barely got a Hemi in it.
It's a V6.
And we sitting here like, why isn't the Hemi going as fast as the Lambo? Well, the Lambo ain't even going that fast, actually. It's damn near broke. So when you get -3 points after the first half against the Cardinals, that is pathetic. And then when you talk about the Tennessee game where it was just abysmal. The whole game was abysmal. But the offense should have never looked like that. Then you want to talk about the Chiefs game. It's embarrassing when you pay guys to run into each other when there's the game on the line, right? That's the offense. That's our offense. Yeah, they look better each week, but did it end well? No, it didn't end well.
You could tell, not to cut you off, Ray. You could tell that the way the Patriots are trying to play. I mean, I said the Patriots, obviously. Damn near we got the whole Patriots coaching staff coaching the Raiders. Nah, you could tell that the coaching staff, the Raiders coaching staff, their plan was literally the best offense is the best defense. You know what I mean? They were trying to, if our offense was hitting on all cylinders, guess what? That means Max Crosby gets to go after that quarterback even more. Chandler Jones has that ability to do as well. But the fact that the offense, even though if you look at the numbers, our offense hasn't really played that bad compared to, just look at the numbers. I'm just saying the numbers. I know we can nitpick and talk about how they've been struggling in the red zone and all that.
Based off of a specific rank, and all people have done is say, well, we're 6th in points. All right, that's your only argument is that we're 6th in points in 5 games. We're 6th in points. We had more games last year scoring more than 30 points at this point in the season. We scored more games last year scoring 30 points than we have this year. Which offense would you expect to score more points, this one or last year?
I agree. But at the same point, the NFL is also down in scoring this year as well. It is a little bit different this year. And we're 6th in scoring, but we're 28th when it comes to red zone efficiency. So, like, to go back to that Lambeau analogy, it's like I think we do have a Lambeau. I just think we're driving it stoplight to stoplight with the development and the execution. This isn't like a freeway. We're not just opening this car up and just driving it. It's a stoplight to stoplight type of offense. You know what I mean? We'll look good from a jump, but so I don't know, man. Like I think as long as the Raiders team collectively, coaching staff and players can start executing on the plays that are being called, and that can come up because there has been a lot of lack of execution, and that does go hand in hand with coaching staff, and it definitely goes hand in hand with the players. So if they can get that kind of figured out moving forward for the rest of the season, I think the Raiders are going to be in an okay position, especially coming in November and December. Like if you could offensively can start playing your best football late into the year, I think we do have a real, if we can win these stretch of games and kind of get back in the mix slowly, that late November, December push, I think the Raiders should be able to make it. And
you just made up, that was basically my point. The fact that their whole plan was the offense was the best defense, and they're not hitting all cylinders on offense. And you are right, Ray. You are right when you're critical of the offense. But the fact that they're not hitting all cylinders means that this team hasn't even hit, they haven't even really reached that peak. Now you can make an argument like, how long is that going to take? Is that going to be? Well,
they haven't hit that peak either because 2 of the 3 big pieces of the offense haven't even been playing. And you're still losing these games by less than 1 score. Like, what happens if it – I mean, I don't like the what ifs. I really don't. I hate that. But
this is where when I hear stuff like that, where my mind says, where was this at the beginning of the season, right? Because this is where I take a step back and I say, a lot of people I heard had predictions 10-plus wins. And to me, I'm like, damn, 10-plus wins. I don't know, guys. I don't know. And then now we're at a point to where we see our team at 1-4 and we say, oh, well, now we have to give them time. We have to – where was this when we were saying they would win 12 games, when they'd win 10 or more, just say like that? And that's why I'm like, I don't know. So I just had to see it to believe it at this point, guys. And we're getting to the point in the season to where we can only drop so many games now. Like it's
right.
Like
yourself into a wall.
We've dug such a deep hole that it's
you got to go out there and win now.
I'll put it this way, bro. This is probably more unbelievable than us getting Adams being 1-4 right now.
Yeah.
Like if you were to tell me we would be 1-4 right now, I would probably not believe that. You know what I mean? I definitely wouldn't believe it. What the hell no? We ain't gonna be 1-4. Like you're tripping. So I'm just not trying to go on a tangent. I'm trying to be calm as possible because
I appreciate it, man.
Once I pop out on my shit, bro, I'm gonna be snapping.
I appreciate it, but you know what? Hey, I really appreciate you coming through, man, and stopping by, man. I know. Like you stayed more than what we asked too, man. I appreciate you. We love chopping football, especially with guys.
Yeah, that know man. Once I get on, bro. It's like I might try to pop on for 20, but I get the energy. Like the energy still rolling. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's all good. And I know it's been a long day, man, because I know you had stuff going on today. But before we end the show, I want to get into tomorrow's game. Y'all final thoughts. If y'all can give me like a score of the game. And who do you feel would be a big part of that? Because I know you guys are Raider fans. I know you don't pick the Raiders to win. Yeah. Come on, let's be honest here. So who would be a big part of that win?
I begin they be talking so much crap to me when I be saying certain stuff. But go ahead.
So just give me a score, outcome of the game, and give me a player that's the reason why they won.
All right, so I'll go first. To be honest with you, I think it's going to be a lot closer of a game than what a lot of people think, and I do think it's going to be a little bit lower scoring, just because both offenses are going to obviously heavily utilize the run, I believe. I got it 27-20 Raiders. And I say that you need to the run defense needs to show up and be consistent like they have all season. If you can slow down Dameon Pierce, maybe on those first and second downs, really create a third and long for Davis Mills to use his arm, and you've got to put this game on Davis Mills' arm. You know what I mean? You got to go out there and shut down the run aggressively and give these pass rushers a chance to pin their ears back to get after Davis Mills. I think that gives you the best chance to win. And offensively, you got to go out there and run the rock with Josh Jacobs. I mean, there should be no excuse why he does. Like, minimum, he should be getting 20 touches a game. And this Tampa 2 coverage, you know what I mean? He's going to get 20 plus touches, and you're going to see a lot of checkdowns with this Tampa 2 cover 2 style. Derek Carr historically has checked it down a lot. Mac Hollins and Foster Moreau are probably going to be hitting those seam routes. So I would keep an eye on that as well. But overall, man, 27-20. And as long as the Raiders find a way to get a win, man, that's all I care about.
Right.
It definitely sounds like a good score. I mean, everything you said was on point. I think, like I said earlier, some people are sleeping on this team. People just sleep on teams. I'm like, bro, we can't do that. Like, we really can't do that. And it's going to probably be a lot closer than people expect. I like Ray's score. So I'll probably say something more along the lines of like 24-20, something like that. I think it'll be a comfortable game for the most part. Maybe they score some points at the end to where it makes it looks a little bit closer. But we just need to win the damn game at the end of the day, and show that we could just play a clean game, right? Yep. It's a bye week. You had a bye week, come out of the bye week. Ray brought up a great point. We're 0-5, I believe he said, out of the bye week. Let's go out there and show that we study, that we, got the fundamentals down after 6 weeks now. I'm going into week 7. And just make sure we handle business and have a clean game. That's all I want to see. Have a clein game.
Facts,
right?
100%.
No receivers running into each other. No weird fumbles. No weird penalties. And I'm interested to see. I'm not trying to go further because I know you want to start. But in the game,
no. Hey, I'm going off like because everybody
in the game specifically against the Texans. I also want to see like this offensive line because I do not like rotating an offensive lineman. Jermaine Illuminor is a penalty machine. He's just always getting a damn penalty, bro. Like every single game, he's gotten a penalty this season, multiple. So, I just want to have a clean game, bro. That's it, clean game.
See, y'all being too modest, man. Come on, we coming off a bye week, man. Hey, man, all this offseason has been talking about the coaching staff, these players, the offense. I felt like they were slowly but surely they've been hitting their stride, especially against the Chiefs. I seen a lot of good things from the coaching staff and the players. They just didn't execute at the end. If the Raiders are coming off a bye, this is where the coaching staff needs to prove to me who I thought they were before coming into the season. And in my opinion, I'm gonna go 28-14, and I'm being nice. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, like I agree. I feel like they have to run the ball. Obviously, we got to incorporate Josh Jacobs against this cover 2 defense. Obviously, they've been good against the pass, but I see a guy like Devontae Adams being extremely motivated. You know what I mean? Based off like how he finished the last game. He's a highly competitive player. You know what I mean? There's a reason why he's arguably the best receiver in the game is because he'll find ways to keep himself motivated. And obviously you seen how mad he was, how angry he was at himself at the end of the game. So best believe he's going to be focused. They're going to try to figure out ways to give him the ball too as well. And if the Raiders, if they start off strong, I think they could win this game handily. I'm saying 28-14. 28-14. And I'm giving D. Adams the game ball. Maybe you could throw in Josh Jacobs in there as well, but I'm gonna say D. Adams because I feel like he's gonna be motivated for this game.
I mean, I hope you're right about Devontae because schematically, like with this Tampa 2, I mean, they're gonna force you. They're gonna try to keep Devontae within the boundaries, and I mean, they're obviously gonna bracket him. So historically, Lovie Smith coaches up these defensive backs really well. Look at a guy like Nate Hobbs, who's on the Raiders right now, one of those underrated type of guys. how are the Raiders going to attack this cover 2? And it's going to be down the seam. You know what I mean? Like you've got
and that's why you got to move around. That's why you got to move Devontae
Right.
Adams around. You can't keep him. And this is why my main point was that the coaching staff, the reason why they're getting paid the big bucks for them to figure out that problem. They literally had a whole bye week. And I know you had a stat where you talked about how the Raiders have struggled mightily coming out of bye week. You know why? Because coaching was not a strength. You know what I mean? Coaching was not a strength. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, not to take shots at John Gruden, but hey, you know what? At the end of the day, he didn't execute when he needed to on third downs in the red zone. He was outcoached by Andy Reid. You know what I mean? I think there was a bye week which was messed up. The NFL, you know, is not going to give us any favors, but I think there was a bye week we played the Chiefs coming out of the bye week. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
yeah, multiple years.
Right.
They're like undefeated almost like since Andy Reid's been there. I think they're undefeated out of bye week or something like that.
Exactly. So this is where, come on, man, we're not playing the Kansas City Chiefs. We're not playing the Buffalo Bills. We're playing the Houston Texans. Now, obviously, if you can look at they've had some close games this year, but they really haven't played any good teams this year. They played the Chargers, they lost. That was like they lost 34-24, lost by 10, but it was a competitive game. Like, they're fighting the game. They play hard. They're coached hard by Lovie Smith. But if Josh McDaniels is who we thought he was supposed to be coming into the season, then after a bye week, you come and you have a great plan for the team, and the players got to execute as well. And I think they can against the Texans, man. I think they can win. I think they could. Look, Raider Room, he took the score out by like 27-17. I said 28-14, damn near the same score.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
One thing I would say is if Josh Jacobs is going to run a lot, I feel like that gives them an opportunity almost as well, because I know they want to run with Dameon Pierce. And dude's been balling. Let's not sleep on that. Let's not sleep on that.
Yeah,
He's been putting in some work. So our
Yeah.
defense will just have to continue to show that their run stopping is still there. Don't let Davis Mills look like he's, you know what I mean, the next best thing. And we'll be straight, and I think we'll be straight. I think this is a game the defense could ultimately handle something. I think this is a game the defense could step up, show some things, almost not win it for us, but just be competent to where the offense doesn't have to do a lot.
No, yeah, and I agree. And the Raider Room leaves a comment. He says we're 0-6 with the. This is something I was going to bring up when you guys finished up your prediction. The Raiders are 0-6 with the refs that are officiating this game on Sunday. And the last time that we won a game, get this goes to Pharaoh with your little stats and little conspiracies that you be dropping every week. They're 0-6 with this ref, right? This reffing unit that we're going to be seeing on Sunday. The last time that they got a win was against the Houston Texans with the Al Davis game. That's the last.
I know who dropped this stat. Josh DeBose dropped this stat. I was like, come on, bro. I hate when he drops these stats, man. I be getting hella mad. Like, we always try. It almost seems like you're a Raider hater, bro.
It's crazy because they say 0-6 with this officiating, and then you say 0-5 out of the bye week. So it's like we're playing against some history here.
We're due. We're due. That's all that means. We're due.
But today, I don't know if you guys seen it. The Texans defensive end, outside of their premier pass rusher, he went down today in practice, and he's going to be out. So it sounds like he's going to miss some time because he got a serious calf injury.
I've seen that as well.
So they're going to be out a significant pass rusher this game as well. So offensively, again, up front in the trenches, you've built an identity on the run game with Josh Jacobs. Don't shy away from it now. We've seen this offense go pass, and we have those 30-second drives and we punt the football. Build your identity off of running the ball with Josh Jacobs. If he's not going to be around for the foreseeable future, get everything you can out of him. If he's the number 3 running back in the league, run the ball 20-plus times against a 32nd ranked run defense in the Houston Texans. This should be your identity. Stem off the play action, attack the middle of the field. This game is very winnable, but the Raiders cannot beat themselves or shoot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, that's exactly. We just need a clean
4 quarters.
Clean game. Just a clean game. Doesn't have to be anything crazy, spectacular, some super duper catch and some super duper interception, return for a touchdown. No, just go out there, have a clean game, no penalties, run efficiently, be balanced on the offense side of the ball, look competent on the defense side of the ball, try to hold them to less than 18 points or something like that.
And play 4 quarters. Play 4 quarters and beat the teams that you're supposed to beat.
And one little fact I wanted to bring up as well, real quick.
Go ahead.
In that Tennessee game, just because I'm pissed off at the offense still.
Right.
The defense got an interception, brought it back to the Tennessee's 31-yard line.
Oh my gosh.
Brought it back to the Tennessee's 31-yard line. You know what we did? We
Punt the football.
We punt the football from the 41.
Yeah.
That's a good offense.
You can't make this up. You
Yeah.
can't make this up. But the defense, it's the defense. The defense sucks. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, the defense sucks. No shit.
Yeah.
But you get the ball, an interception finally, and you bring it back to the 31, and we're down 13-24 at that time, I believe. And you punt the football. We don't even get a field goal. You punt the football. We wouldn't have gone for 2 if you just ran it or anything. Just don't lose yards. Kick the field goal.
And I actually want to look that up too. That's a stat that I want to look into is offensive penalties, because it felt like in games that we get like penalties on offense, whether it's the O-line, we're just doing something that like self-inflicted wounds.
At the most crucial times.
Exactly. It happened against the Chiefs. You know what I mean? Especially when they were making their comeback. Like we were moving the ball. Offensively, we were moving the ball. It's just that when we get in those third and long, second, like it throws off the drive. You know what I mean?
5-yard back up 5 yards, and then you get an incompletion. All of a sudden, it's third instead of it. It's 2nd and 8. Then you get an incompletion. Now it's 3rd and 8 or something like that. And like T.A. Patriot has said in the comments,
it's not offense. It's not defense. It's collectively the whole team. You'll get one unit playing one half of football. Then the defense will go out there and they'll get the football back for the offense, and then the offense will stall out. It's a whole execution. It always goes back to that word of execution. It's like if both of these sides can play 4 quarters and just play efficient and effective football, then you're talking about a completely different outcome for the Raiders. It's just a lack of execution on both sides of the football.
Right.
It's a team effort, really, at the end of the day, because
it definitely is a team effort. I've heard that for the last 36 damn hours, man. Trust me. It's just, bro, it's not a team effort when you invest everything on only one side of the football. At that point, you started the season with it not being a team effort. That's where it just ends for me. That's where it ends for me. The defense is garbage. It's been garbage for 20 freaking years. And we invest everything in the offense, and they blow everything up for us. They literally lose the games for us. They go out to the Cardinals, fumble the ball, they return it for a touchdown to OT, we lose the game. 2 receivers run into each other with 4th and 1. All we need is a field goal. They lose the game. Mm-hmm. We get an interception against Tennessee at the 31-yard. We get backed up and we punt the football and we lose the game. We don't even get the 2-point conversion against Tennessee, and we're right there. So at the end of the day, for me, it's the offense. The defense is garbage, but they've given the offense, our Lambeau, every opportunity to win the game for us. Go win the game.
And that's the best. At the end of the day, that's all you can ask for based off how they've attacked the offseason, their whole plan coming into the season, the way they've invested into the offense and defense. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not really too yeah, our defense could be better, but I'm really more critical of the offense for sure. Just because. And even
are they that garbage though? Like
they're not garbage.
They're not great. They're not garbage, but it's like because you're talking about a top 5 run defense. Okay, that's crucial. Mm-hmm. You're talking about a top 10 pass defense. That's crucial. It all comes down to red zone efficiency on both sides of the football. You're 28th in points allowed in the red zone. You're not going to win football games with that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You're among the worst in the league on the offensive side of the football in the red zone. Mm-hmm. So both offense and defense, if they had the red zone issues like summed up, you're talking about actually a really good football team, and you're probably talking about a 4-1, 3-2 type of football team.
5-0.
5-0, yeah. So I mean,
5-0.
I don't necessarily.
All we needed is like a field goal in every single game to win.
That's it.
And in the first 4 games, I believe, we let the opponent score exactly 23 points or 24 points. Like every game, like the first game was 24 points, then it was 23, then it was 24, then it was 23. But this Chief game was the only one that we gave up more than 24 points or something like that. Mm-hmm. And it ended up being 30 points, and we lost by 1 point. And this Chiefs game was the most points the offense has scored all season, was 29 points.
Right.
You're telling me this offense, the most points in a single game it could score is 29 points out of 5 games. We should at least put up 30 points in 1 out of 5 games.
without two of the top weapons too. We always have to remember that too.
So, yeah, without him. I mean, we did it last year without Waller, so we should be able to do it this year. That's what I'm saying. And that's another thing. The defense has held teams to 23, 24 points in the first 4 games. So that basically means our offense has failed to score more than 3 points.
Hey, look, in the offseason before week 1 started, if you would have told us they had a top 10 pass defense and a top 5 run defense, you would have said that this team was probably 5-0, right?
Yeah, easy.
Like easily. Like
easy.
That's what alludes back to the offense, right? Because if the defense, if we would have known 2 months ago that the defense would be where they are landing right now, we'd be like, oh yeah, the offense is going to go out there and do their thing, and the Raiders are up there among the elite.
Yep.
You know what I mean? All we were asking in this offseason was just a middle of the pack defense. That's what I heard over everywhere on YouTube. Just let the Raiders get a middle of the pack defense. That's all we need.
Yep.
Here we are. Here we have a middle of the pack defense, and we're sitting at 1-4.
And that goes back to expectations. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like this is a team that we literally went to the playoffs last year, but we won a lot of close games. And you know how that works. You know what I mean? If you're going to keep games close, then it can easily go the other way.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you're talking about bringing in a new offensive system, a defensive system, and they're both complicated. We didn't take that into consideration because we looked at the talent and we looked at the pedigree that these head coaches, the head coach had, the defensive coordinator, all these guys, even from down to the linebacker coach, the secondary coach. The secondary coach is nice. You know what I'm saying? Like from Carolina, we talked about him. We talked about Rob Ryan as our linebacker coach, a former defensive coordinator. So we were so like into all these moves that we didn't figure out like, hey, you know what? That this still hasn't been figured out yet. You know what I mean? They still haven't done it on the football field.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They've hit home runs left and right in the offseason, but they haven't. And, you know, it's hard to predict sometimes because, you know, at the end of the day, we're all fans of the team at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So, but, man, hey, at the end of the day, they got some winnable games on paper, but they dug themselves a hole.
Yeah.
And it's like, man.
Still making the playoffs, though.
At 9-8, he called it 9-8 on my channel, his channel, everybody's channel. 9-8. That's your
9-8 wild card, baby.
Okay, man. And if y'all haven't already, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, man. I'm trying to get to that 1K, man. It's a very big number, very special number. My boy Ray has gotten there, and Ray, man, you know Ray's been past that times 10, times 20. He's 1,000. He got 1,000 subscribers. But if you haven't subscribed to Ray, I highly recommend. I'm subscribed. Ray, I know Ray subscribed. Dude drops fire content, so make sure to subscribe to his channel as well. If my mods are still here, please make sure to put the links in the chat, man. I appreciate everybody coming through, man, and showing some love, man. Like this means a lot. I love talking football, and like I said, I love talking football with people who know their stuff, and hopefully we can continue doing this as the season goes on, man. But you know, we've hit like the 2 hour and 15, man. This is how you know, like we're not even thinking, we're not even looking at time. We're just talking football, and we look up. It's like 2 hours and 15 minutes, man, have gone by, man. But what's y'all last thoughts, man? Any last thoughts or anything that you guys want to say? Bring up. Just
appreciate y'all bringing me on, man. Thank you for the invite. You know, a lot of content creators don't invite me on their shows for some reason. I don't know why, but I think people.
Man, you're one of my favorites, bro. You're one of my favorites. That's why I was like, bro, I got to get him on, man. I got to get him on,
man. Appreciate that for real. But I appreciate you guys bringing me on. Shout out to you guys. I see you guys growing. Anytime I'm available, of course I'll come on, bro. Of course I'll come on. Y'all know I will.
Appreciate it, man.
Shit, I was on here for however long I've been on. I don't even know. But, you know, I appreciate you guys. Shout out to RealRaiderRay. Make sure you guys go follow the guy. You know what I mean? Follow him on Instagram, too. And you guys can always DM me. You know what I mean? If y'all just want to talk offline, got a question or, you know what I mean, or just want to talk football, just go ahead, shoot me DMs on Instagram. You know what I mean? I love, you know what I mean, talking to people, even if it's offline. Hit me up. So I appreciate you guys.
Facts. We're always going to collab, man. And I'm just looking at the chat, man. They're enjoying it, man. There's so many comments. I appreciate everybody commenting. I know I didn't get to everybody, but please make sure to leave a comment too. Like, let me know your thoughts, man. Like tomorrow's game, how you feel about how the season's going, what moves that the Raiders need to make. Because I know there's some rumors about like we talked about today. Man, just let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure to hit the like button. And Ray, man, do you have any last thoughts, man?
Nah, man. I want to thank Pharaoh first and foremost for having us on your platform tonight, and Raid, thank you for your time. We always wanted to be respectful, so we appreciate you for coming on even longer than what you did. You didn't have to do that. You're always more than welcome here, dude. So we're gonna constantly be in touch. offline, and hopefully this isn't the last time that we can hop on this season and talk some football. With that being said, man, Raiders, man, let's just go out here and find a way to get a win. Let's take this 1 week at a time. Let's not look down the road. Let's just focus on the task at hand, which this week is the Houston Texans. So, Raider Nation, let's just go out here and get a win. I appreciate everybody that decided to pull up on a Saturday. Go to each and every single one of these guys' channels, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, and we really appreciate you guys coming out and showing some love and support.
For sure, man. Until next time, man. Peace out, Raider Nation. Peace.
Great Pharaoh, the gift of Troy is a fabulous fabric from the land of the 5 rivers.
Just win, baby.
Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.